What is up, everyone? Ryan Sprague here from Somewhere in the Skies, and welcome to a very, very special Halloween season YouTube live stream and Facebook, I guess. Let's talk about that. If you're watching this on Facebook right now, why are you doing that? Go over to YouTube, watch it on the Ryan Sprague YouTube channel. That way I will see all of your comments as they come in. If you do watch on Facebook, there's a very good chance I will not see a lot of your comments unless you give StreamYard permission. There's a link below on the Facebook post in order to do that. So you can either do that or just go watch this on YouTube. It's a lot better over there. Anyways, this is going to be a lot of fun tonight. For anyone who knows, I am a huge fan of alien abduction movies and obviously alien abductions in general. That's why you're here. So we're going to be talking about 4 alien abduction themed found footage films tonight, which is going to be really fun. And I have some really special guests for you guys. 2 of my co-hosts for tonight, and also some special guest appearances as well from people from the films we're going to be reviewing. But before we do all that, let's talk a little shop here, guys. The super chat is open. If you want to help out Somewhere in the Skies, please, you can do so with the super chat button. That way we will highlight your comments, highlight your questions you might have for me or my guest co-hosts for tonight. It's a great way to help out the show and get your comments and questions asked right here live on YouTube or Facebook. And other than that, let's see. Oh, I wanted to mention, I just got sent this book by a listener of the show, Nomar Slavik, who's actually been a guest on the show. We Only Come Out at Night. This is a really cool book full of scary stories, ghosts, supernatural, paranormal, aliens as well. And Nomar has just done an incredible job of creating these terrifying worlds in the book. So please, this Halloween season, help out an independent author and just have a good time. Have a good time. Spook your friends, your significant others, whatever you want, with We Only Come Out at Night by Nomar Slavik. So check that out on Amazon. What else do I have here, guys? Oh, we have an upcoming Halloween series episode where we're going to be talking to 2 modern day witches who practice witchcraft in today's world. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Keep a lookout for that very soon, amongst all the main feed episodes as well. And other than that, like, subscribe, share the show. I'd really appreciate that. But without further ado, I'm going to introduce our 2 co-hosts for tonight as we go through these movies, whether they like it or not. First on the docket is one of my closest friends and colleagues, Andrew Sanford. Andrew is a writer, performer, director operating out of New York City. He was twice featured for the ABC Discover Showcase and co-created a graphic novel called Gwendolyn in 2013 with artist extraordinaire Joe Cabatit. Andrew was selected for the ABC Discover Showcase as a writer, which is really awesome. Recently, he has been working with the New York City theater company Random Access Theater, writing Shakespearean adaptations of popular movies. That's really cool. I know he did one of the Star Wars, so we'll have to ask him about that. And one of the Star Wars. I sound like an old person when I say that. Go see a Star Wars. And he has also been a staff contributor for Pajiba.com. And he just came out with an article over there recently about Chucky. So go check that out. And you can follow him on Twitter at Sanford-Son, though the handle is no longer accurate because he is the dad of 2 of the cutest twins I have ever seen. Not the creepiest, the cutest. And that is Andrew Sanford. So I'm going to bring him in right now. Andrew.
Hi, buddy.
How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. I hope I did you some justice.
You did wonderful. I will say it is Pajiba.com.
Pajiba.
And all that really matters is how you spell it, because that's what you're really going to be doing. But Pajiba is how it's pronounced. I feel like I would be remiss. It doesn't matter. There's also a lot of other wonderful writers over there too that you should check out. I should have said that. People who are much more qualified to review movies than I am, because it's what they do for a living.
Right. The pros today,
not to say we're not qualified. I don't want to dash anybody's hopes before we get started.
Oh, not at all. Yeah,
let's
not ruin that.
I've seen easily 50 movies. No big deal. It's whatever.
No big deal.
No big deal.
bragging rights right there.
Hey,
Anthony, thank you so much for the shoot.
Did you
chat,
just
buddy.
call me Anthony?
No, Anthony. Anthony is one of our super chat contributers. I would hope I knew your name by now.
Oh man, Anthony, I love your last name. That's a dope last name, man.
Mikulski.
Mikulski. Yeah.
He's a huge supporter of the show.
Oh,
Anthony,
cool.
thanks for being here. Let's give a shout out quick before we bring in our other amazing co-host. Matthew Riot is here. Alien Girl, thank you for being here. Morkavi Studios. Ooh, that sounds pretty cool.
Hello,
Tim F is here. I'm going to try to shout you guys out as much as I can. We're going to be really busy tonight reviewing these movies as well and showing you some special clips. But let's move to our second co-host of the night, and that is Nicholas Westemeyer. Nicholas is an actor, director, and teacher based in New York City. He received his BA in theater from Clark College and his MFA. That smart man, MFA in acting from Brooklyn College. He currently teaches theater and speech at CUNY, C-U-N-Y. He is a founding member of Voyage Theater Company and Third Kind Productions, little company I know a little something about. He is also the co-executive producer and co-star of Reverie Lane. I put that in there, Nick, so he's going to love that. So without further ado, let's bring him in. Nicholas Westemeyer. What's up, buddy?
Hey,
Nick.
Welcome. I think this may be the first time we have done this in a really. I think the last movie the three of us might have looked at was like, God, Last Jedi, maybe.
Did we? I don't think I talked about that for your show.
no,
Maybe
I think
not. Was that you, me, and
Chris?
Was that Chris? Okay.
The last time we did something was whatever the last Shocktober was.
Oh my God!
Not the last one, the year before the last one.
Right? Yeah. I don't even remember.
I remember.
So many.
Watched some great movies. I know that they were fantastic.
Oh, was that the one where we did It Follows?
Yes.
And two other ones. Krampus?
Yeah.
It was a really
Krampus.
hodgepodge episode. But I kind of like that. Anytime, before we get too into the weeds, I used to host a podcast. It's pretty much like done at this point. The pandemic it was a pandemic casualty, but that's okay. It was a lot of fun. I did that for a few years, and even though it was like a pop culture and politics discussion podcast, every October, because I love horror movies so much, we throw out the entire purpose of the podcast and just talk about horror movies. And I would bring on wonderful people that I love to talk to. And you two were one of the few multiple guests. I tried to switch it up every year, but Ryan's my favorite hard UFO podcaster too, mainly because jealous Anthony, jealous of my hair, Anthony. We're good friends, Anthony.
I'm trying to slip these comments in. Don't feel like you have to respond.
Sorry, it's hard. I noticed that they're there now, and I can't.
I know. These are all my like hardcore friends out there who are always here to support. So I love you guys. But yeah, tell us a little bit more about Shocktober. That's what we're doing tonight.
I would throw out the purpose of the podcast. We just talk about horror movies, and I think the first time you guys did an episode too, we talked about like 6 of them. But what happened was, which was a lot of fun. But
that was a
anyway,
marathon,
and I would call it Shocktober because that's what I'm not the first or the last person to call October Shocktober because of the scary movies. But yeah. So I love doing that. You can
take credit for it. Yeah.
I will. I take sole credit for it. It's Shocktober TM.
It's so much fun. I miss it.
It is a lot of fun. I do miss that aspect of things, but it was just things move on. I got busy with other stuff. The pandemic happened. We couldn't record in the same room, which I usually prefer. I like this. Yeah. This app is great.
It's great. But it is hilarious that all three of us live in the New York City kind of metro area.
Yeah,
we're in 3 different places.
Absolutely.
I've done more theater
2021
via Zoom over the pandemic than I have ever.
Sure.
Very true.
I don't know people are anymore.
I know. I know. When I see people in person, I'm like, I gotta like touch their face and make sure it's real. I'm like, what's happening here? And then that's when I get arrested. But that's another story. Well, let's talk. Since I have you both here, both of you guys come from the theater world. That's originally how I met both of you. And all 3 of us became really good friends. Nick and I went through a lot of trials and tribulations, both as struggling artists in New York and then as creative partners. And it's been a crazy journey ever since. And same with Andrew. We've written a play together at this point. Nick and I have worked on a movie together. It's just been an incredible ride. But what I want to know from you guys, since I have you here, you're both performers as well. Your experiences in the world of horror, which is a lot of what we're going to be talking about tonight. So, Nick, I think I'd love to start with you, man, before we dive into the movies. What is your experience as a performer with horror? I know you've done a couple horror films. Would you mind giving us a little brief overview of your experiences with that?
So, I mean, I'm kind of like Andrew. Like, I love horror movies, and definitely, and you too, Ryan, definitely like a large swath of them. I like watching them. It's kind of what I do during October. In terms of doing horror movies, I've done a couple shorts. I've done 2 feature films that are more like slasher genre. So, one of the things with my experience is that there's definitely a formula that goes with it, but it's probably the most fun I've had working on a set. The stuff people come up with creatively to do effects on lower budget. So with a lot of times the horror movies, you'll see that younger filmmakers or experienced filmmakers will do them and do them more lo-fi, low budget, because they can be really effective without a lot of effects. And that was cool. So yeah, I mean, I've done 2 feature films, which is great. It's probably the most fun I've had shooting a movie. They've always been fun. The cast are always great. And watching someone stick glass in someone's eye and make it cool. I don't know.
What was the name? Do you mind?
I've done Frat House Massacre, Violence of the Mind, The Gacy Project. Oh God, there's a couple other ones. Those are the 3 big ones that come to my mind, though.
Now, was this the original Frat House Massacre, or this wasn't like part 12?
No,
14?
no, it's an OG. It's
okay.
It's
nice.
something.
Andrew,
we should watch that, and then Andrew and I should talk about it.
There we go. Look, no, it won't even be that. I'll interview you about it.
Oh,
we'll really get into that. One of the things, like, not to spoil anything, but I really wanted to, for some of the movies that we watched, I really wanted to pick some of the creators' brains afterwards. All of them, actually, for different reasons. So a little tease there.
Absolutely. And I did pick the brains of some of the directors and actors
so exciting
of tonight's film. So
That's
we will
so
be
cool.
hearing from them. But yeah, they're very accessible. So definitely, Andrew, I'll have them reach out to you, man.
Awesome.
And guys, like, if you want to give your comments on the films we're reviewing tonight, put them in the chat, put them in the super chat if you want. We'll definitely, we want to know what you guys think of these movies as well. This is just the 3 of us just sitting back, drinking, and having a good time. Thank you so much.
I'm drinking caffeinated bubbly. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. It's pretty damn good.
What do you got, Nick?
Diet Coke.
Yeah, am I the only? God, I'm the alcoholic.
No, Ryan. Right.
Yeah, he already showed you his. He already showed you his giant jug of vodka before we got on here.
Your North Carolina jug. I love it. I am drinking pumpkin ale. Ooh, nice. Good sound effects, Andrew. I do want to give a shout out. He is the Renaissance man incarnate. John L. from Australia with the super chat. Thank you so much, John. Thanks for being with us, man. What time is it there?
Rock and roll, brother.
Plaid. Yeah. What did Anthony say, Ryan? Look at Andrew's shirt. Oh, plaid. Yeah. I am noticed plaid man.
Anthony, no, it's not even just that, bro. Anthony, I was waiting. I was literally about to say, I'm just going to say it. Nobody has acknowledged my Mick Foley cosplay over here.
I just saw it, actually.
Like I was almost going to put on the full Ghostbusters
Mick
costume.
Foley or Cactus Jack?
Well, here's the thing. Cactus Jack didn't always wear the flannel on top of the shirt.
True.
He did sometimes, but that was usually, I feel like when Mick Foley wrestled as himself, this is the look he would kind of rock. I love me some Mick Foley. And it was either this or the Ghostbusters costume, but that thing's hard to pee in. And I know that'll happen at some point tonight. So
exactly.
This is my nod to my ode to Halloween.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you, Anthony.
I tried to spookify. He's great, man. He's so cool. I love having him here. He's here every time I do this. Thank you,
amazing.
Anthony. I tried to spookify my studio. I've got this fluorescent ghost I got from Target.
Very nice.
Let's see what else we got. We got the jackalope in there. Yeah, I thought it'd be appropriate.
Jackalope?
Jackalope is classic.
What is a jack? Oh, gotcha.
Jackalope.
Yeah, we've had that for a while. That's our one and only child. So,
I know.
yeah.
I carried that into your apartment for you.
You did. Nick has.
2
Oh my
times?
god. I'm not.
Why
We
did it
won't even
leave?
get into that.
Why did
Nick
it
has been a
leave? Why did there have to
saving
be a
grace.
second time?
Yeah, why
What's
did that
that?
to be a second time, Ryan?
I don't
When
remember.
you got back from LA.
Oh,
gotcha.
that's why.
Ooh.
I like to black out those 2 years of my life, to be completely honest.
I forgot about that. I've honestly forgotten about it at this point.
John says it's 11:15 a.m. Oh, good. Well,
Oh,
good
nice.
morning to John.
John,
Good morning, my man.
that sounds like an excuse to me, brother. What do you have to do today? Come on.
Listen to
Come on.
us.
Be
talk about
honest
found
with me.
footage
Yeah.
films.
Be honest with me. We're all friends here. John, it's just me and you.
Oh, all right.
Go ahead.
Andrew's having his own episode with John.
What? Hey, look, I'm trying to. No, I'm not trying to encourage anybody to do anything that they don't want to do.
You can take Andrew away from the podcast, but he'll always come back. It's his home.
He always comes back.
It's a safe space.
You're right.
That's true.
There's no escaping. P.S. I love the Batman animated series. Hello, we're getting a new animated series. From what I hear.
Yes, from Bruce Timm.
Okay.
No, yeah, it's gonna be a TV show, a cartoon from Bruce Timm. Very exciting.
Oh, okay, awesome.
And Bruce Timm and somebody else. I think one of the people working on Harley Quinn, which is an amazing show.
Yeah,
if anybody's like really incredible stuff. But new cartoon from Bruce Timm, which is very, very, very exciting.
And another new Batman. Man, it is the year of like reboots. Like, I want to talk to you guys about that too. We've got Chucky, the TV series. We've got Halloween,
which isn't a reboot,
coming out tomorrow. It's
Chucky,
not a reboot.
Yeah, no, Chucky, and I actually controversial thought, maybe not hot take, maybe not whatever. Child's Play is one of the most consistent franchises in any horror. Even though they do it's always kind of campy. I think that first movie is a little bit scarier than people give it credit for, which, as you said earlier, I wrote about how it affected me watching it now as a new father for Pajiba.com. I can, Ryan, can you drop that link in the comments, I guess?
Yeah,
or can
absolutely.
I do that?
I got you.
Look, check it out. You might enjoy it.
It's good.
A very personal read. Thank you, Nick. But one of the great things about Child's Play is Don Mancini, who is Chucky's creator. And in the first movie, I think he gets a story by credit and a co-writer credit. And then he slowly bumps up until he's sole writer, and then Seed of Chucky, which is if you know it's a comedy going in, is better than I think people give it credit for. It misses a lot, but it hits as well because it's just funny and silly. He wrote and directed that one, and then wrote and directed Curse of Chucky, which was straight to Blu-ray and exceeded all expectations and was kind of a return to a traditional horror for the franchise. And then he went and worked on Hannibal a little bit, the TV show. I think that timeline works up right. Yeah. And then took what he learned from that and did Cult of Chucky, which you can see the influence visually, and then came up with the idea for the show. But the people who own the rights to Child's Play wanted to do a reboot, which then halted the plans for the show because they were this reboot might say, this dude is actively working on this franchise. It's the only franchise I can think of where it's had a singular creative mind in charge for its entirety. It's been 30 plus years, right? And it's just been him. So it's got that going for it. And honestly, the first episode of the TV show, because thankfully I know there are some people that liked it. I honestly just did not see it because I didn't think it was fair that franchise was taken away from him like that. Mm-hmm. So I didn't see the reboot. I just know it did not do well enough to warrant a sequel. So the production for the TV show went back on, and it's another just advancement for the franchise. It's really good stuff. I think that first episode is free on YouTube now too.
Oh, okay.
I highly recommend it.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
And I'll happily plug somebody else's work because I enjoyed it that much.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I failed miserably with dropping the link. Dude, can you spell it out for us?
Yeah, P-A-J. I can pull it up. Hold on just a sec. I got a computer in front of me. Let me get right up.
Oh, here it is. I got it. I'm going to put a link right here, guys, directly to Andrew's article. So please go read that.
Thanks, bud.
after this, of course, after this.
Yeah. Later. Don't read it now.
Halloween Kills comes out tomorrow, which
Very
I know.
excited about that.
Super
Me
excited.
Me too. But let's get to it. The reason we're here, the reason people are listening to us go on and on is these found footage films. Now, a lot of our viewers and listeners have probably seen a lot of these, but I want to know from you guys: is this your first time seeing all of these films? Andrew, let's go with you.
All except for the Slumber Party abduction, which
okay.
Yes, which I do think it's important to point out for context of that movie that it is, because I've seen VHS 2, which was that short. I know you spoke with the director earlier today. I'm not sure if he did it independently first and then it just got rolled into that movie, or it was just made for that movie. But it's an anthology movie, so that segment is a smaller segment amongst other segments. And I do think that's important to bring up even well before we get into talking about that movie, because context is everything for a lot of these things. And that, especially for its pace, its flow, like it's when you put it in the context of what it needed to be, there are things that you can excuse because you just, it's part of the thing. It's part of what it is.
You're right. I think, you zoom in on just this Slumber Party alien abduction, not VHS as a whole, which, Jason Eisner, the creator, he did create this specifically for VHS. I don't know if that made it into, I had to, dude, it was awesome. I asked him to do like a 5-minute video and we went for like half an hour. So I had to drastically cut down what you guys are going to see tonight, but I am going to put the extended version of the interview up on YouTube as well. But yeah, he, the challenge was to create a very short film in the VHS found footage sort of feel. And that's what he came up with. And as we'll get to, I think it was pretty effective. But let's start chronologically. So tonight we're going to be talking about the McPherson Tape from 1989, Slumber Party Alien Abduction, 13, Alien Abduction, 14, and The Fourth Kind, 2009. We're going to end with Fourth Kind because I know that's the one we're going to talk about probably the most. Pretty divisive, and I know a lot of people in the chat probably have some ideas about that as well. But let's start with literally, I can say almost with certainty, there might be some debate on this, the first found footage film that really came out worldwide, and that is the McPherson Tape, 1989, 10 years before the Blair Witch Project. We got the McPherson Tape. There's a really interesting story behind how this came to be. We will hear from the director about that after our review, but let's kind of jump in. Here's the quick synopsis of McPherson Tape. On a typical fall evening in 1983, young man was videotaping his niece's 5th birthday party. As the night's strange occurrences took place, he kept his video camera running, recording the entire event. And that event would be an invasion, an alien abduction. So before we kind of get into what the film is about, written and directed by Dean Aliotto, starring Tommy Giaffaccini, Patrick Kelly, and Shirley McCullough. And Dean, actually, the creator, plays the 16-year-old who has the camera. So there you go. The director is literally the one behind the seat of the camera.
Was he 16 at the time?
No.
Okay.
No, he was not. But so yeah, I guess that's kind of the premise. We get this found footage film. A guy is recording his family like most families do. And mind you, again, this was filmed in 1989. So, I mean, that's just crazy to me to think that that's the earliest found footage film we have. And, you can feel it. You could definitely feel this is from the late 80s when you first start watching it. But what did you guys think? Initial thoughts when you started watching this for the first time?
I was immediately engaged by it.
Yeah.
100%. Because there is an authenticity to how the movie is set up and how it looks, and it really it doesn't feel, I mean, obviously it was filmed in the late 80s, so it looks like it was filmed in the late 80s, but it also has this tone to it. And I think without tangenting too much, I think all 4 of these movies did at least one thing that was really, really strong. Some of them did a few things that are really strong, but I think that the McPherson Tape, one of the many strong things that I think it does, is the improv amongst the family.
Right.
And that's not easy. And I do think in one of these other movies, you see that that improv's not easy. To make it believable that these people are just kind of like, it felt like I was looking at a family. And my first thought, and maybe you know the answer to this, Ryan, is what was the distribution for this? Because I know you said it didn't get like a proper release until just a few years ago.
Not even
correct.
rated. It's not even a rated film.
That's crazy.
Exactly. I know.
Okay.
I was looking for like Rotten Tomatoes, nothing. Well, yeah, and I don't think the clip I have really goes into that too much, but this film was never distributed. So crazy story. Dean Alioto, the filmmaker, full disclosure, is a friend of mine. I was in a recent horror film of his, which I'll tell you guys about a funny story with that after this. He filmed it, and they had a distributor, like they had it all set up. So he gave them the final cut. He gave them all the artwork, like it was ready to go. And not shitting you, the distribution building burned to the ground, and everything was lost. The master copy of the film, all of his artwork, everything destroyed. Like you would think that it was like, when he first told me that, I'm like, come on, man. Like that's such a like sort of cliche thing. Like maybe this guy burned it to the ground for insurance money. Maybe that's what happened. I don't know. But what happened, like he was heartbroken. You know, this was his first film that he ever made. And that happened. So for years after that, he was like, well, you know, shit happens, moving on. Little did he know that somehow, some way, there were copies made of the film that made it out onto like the black market and the early days of the internet. And it became this cult thing, specifically within the UFO community. This thing for years, I'm not kidding you guys, was touted as real. Us in the UFO community thought this was an actual home video taken of an alien abduction. That's how convincing it was, which we'll get to in terms of how convincing you guys think this was. But that was crazy. And then when Dean, the filmmaker, found out about this, he was like, oh my God, I had no idea. So my film still is alive. And not only that, people think it's real. Like I did my job. But he wanted to get credit for it. You know, like, no, I made this. This wasn't like, this isn't a real alien abduction, guys. Come on. So he ended up going on like TV and saying, I made this film. I can prove to you I made this. But the UFO community was not having it. They were so convinced and I think wanted to believe this was real. It was the evidence we always wanted. A lieutenant colonel in the army actually was convinced like it's that this was real. It's crazy. Like to the point where eventually it got picked up by Dick Clark Productions and remade. But Dean will explain that to us. But yeah, that's the story behind the distribution. It never did, but somehow it still came up from the ashes like a phoenix.
And that's what I thought, because it felt like, and it's hard to explain this to people maybe that aren't of a certain age, but I think we're all of age. Like tape swapping was a thing.
Yeah,
you just swap tapes with people.
Absolutely.
Like you had these big clunky tapes, and you traded it for other big clunky tapes. Yeah,
that's what you did. I did that with bootlegs. You know, Broadway shows back in the day. It's like, oh, I can't go to New York and see whatever.
So then,
Wicked, Phantom of the Opera. Like, let me get it on the black market.
Can I swear on the show?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna say one last thing, and then I'm gonna shut the fuck up so Nick can talk. But just real quick, did the version that was out there have credits?
Yeah. Yes.
And people still thought it was real?
But what they did is whoever leaked them cut the credits off the
Okay.
Same with like the title card at the beginning. Like whoever put this out like did it for a reason. Like
Gotcha.
I honestly think it somehow made it into the hands of like some UFO person, and they were like, I gotta get this out there. Like people are gonna think it's real, like thus proving this is all real and my life's work is for a reason, you know. So yeah, the version that got out to the public, like all those things were cut off. So I get it. Like if I had seen this back in like 92, 93, which I did not, I saw the UPN remake version much later on, which we'll get to, which was still terrifying to me as well. But this original version in '89, like I can't imagine what it must have been like seeing that like on, not on television, just getting a copy of it and throwing that in the VCR and watching it. Again, like found footage wasn't a thing. So we didn't have all these ideas of like, oh, they fake this, they fake this. Like we weren't there yet, I think, as an audience to be like, yeah, for sure this is fake. At least that's my opinion. I don't know. But Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, this is all just dovetailing off the stuff you guys said. So, I mean, I didn't do a lot of research about any of the films before we started watching them because I kind of came in later. So I was just trying to get like the movies watched. And so this is the second one I watched of the group. And like I basically took 3 notes and then just watched. So I said like, oh, early found footage, the 80s, exclamation point. Because I was so like impressed. I was like, holy shit, I didn't know this existed. And then I was like, feels very home movie. And finally I just wrote, be impressed. So for me, like one of the things I think about when you're working on like a found footage film, I'm sure this is the same as like a film director, which I'm sure Andrew could talk about, or as an actor, is how do you make something feel as realistic as possible to make it feel like this is actually something that's being shot, the actors aren't acting in it, to make it feel genuine. And that was something I thought that actually worked really well with the older like 80s style, the home movies, the lo-fi of it worked really well. And then to add to that, Andrew, you mentioned this, the interaction between the family. That was the thing I was the most impressed with. I was like, this sounds to me very real. Like I bought into it. It felt like I was watching like an old family recording of my family. And so because of that, I was already engaged. I was like, this is doing a really good job. Because as a general rule, I'm not a huge fan of found footage films because to me, I already go, this isn't real. Like you can hear it, you can feel it in the way that it's being, the way that the dynamic between people. It's why I thought Blair Witch was so good, because Blair Witch had that feeling of like, oh shit, they're in the woods. This is really happening. And I thought this movie just fucking nailed that. I mean, just was so well done in its simplicity between everybody in it. And I just can't I couldn't let go of that. I was like, it felt so genuine. And that even
so
at one point, because I didn't know, I was like, the fuck? I got on IMDb. I was like, is this? And I was like, okay, it's fake. Cool.
Right? Cool. But you had to look. And that happened with Blair Witch, I remember too.
Yeah. And I bought it from Amazon. I was like, oh yeah. Then I still was like, wait, is this
right?
Fake?
Even though there's like a title card, right? It's crazy.
That's how bought in I was. I was like, that's so, I was like, nice. Kudos for doing something like that.
And I guess I can speak for Dean because I did like a 3-hour interview with him about this entire journey with both versions of the film. I think they rehearsed for like a week. Like these people were cast. They were all local actors out in like the Bay Area, and brought them in a room, told them kind of the concept and what they were going for. And again, like now you can be a trained found footage actor. Like there's classes to take on just how to be in found footage films, from what I've been told. But back then, like that's not, nobody knew what that was. So I can't imagine like showing up on set and kind of like just experimenting. And this is what we got. And I think it was really effective. And we even talked about like the actual plot, which is, aliens show up and this is inspired, I should say. Andrew, you and I talked about this briefly. The Hopkinsville Goblin invasion.
Oh, yes.
Back in 1955.
Right.
Nick, I'll school you on this one. This family in Kentucky, these weird goblin-like creatures showed up in the middle of the night on their like property and were like just surrounding this house. And they like went out shooting at these things. Bullets were bouncing off of them. They were like floating in midair. It was like a weird battle going on between these like alien goblins and this terrified family. And Dean was very inspired by this supposed real event that happened back in the 50s. Like the Air Force came and investigated it, part of Project Blue Book, which was an official Air Force
That's like a
investigation.
legit thing, right?
Yeah,
Project
Project
that has
Legit.
come up a bunch. It's like a legit. Sorry, I'm probably the least knowing.
No, and Nick,
No.
if I've learned anything doing this with Ryan, it's that once you watch enough of these movies, all of those terms will it'll become
They're
old.
buzzwords.
It'll become
Yeah.
old hat to you.
Exactly.
I saw it twice. I was like, okay, Project Blue Book, clearly something really important.
Blue Book ran for like 12 years, and it was a
Wow.
real program that the Air Force did to go investigate UFOs. And they hired an astronomer to come in and like debunk all these cases. Be like, it was the planet Venus you saw, or it was swamp gas. That's where that term swamp gas comes from.
With all the lights.
Or you were, like stuff like that. Or you mistook something. Like it was his job to come in and be like, I need to like quell the hysteria here in America. Because this is back during the Cold War. They didn't want people thinking like our skies weren't safe. So they hired this astronomer to be like, I'm going to explain it all away. And I think once Project Blue Book closed, there were 701 cases that remained unsolved. And this astronomer came out on the other side being like, holy shit, like there is something to this UFO phenomenon, things I cannot explain, things the Air Force told me to legitimately cover up. And he went against all of that after and came forward and said, they told me to lie about this. They told me to lie about this. That still remains unexplained. And he went to his grave being like, wow, I was hired to debunk all this and I couldn't. And there's something to this. So this Hopkinsville Goblin thing was a part of that, which is crazy. So that was kind of the inspiration, I think, for Dean to tell this story.
Yes. Two things.
Yeah.
I don't want it to go on, and I promise I won't keep doing this without it being said that my man Anthony said it looked like Shock G in the comments, and I consider that the highest of compliments. Anthony, my go-to karaoke song is the Humpty Dance, so I am quite fond of Shock G and the digital. May he rest in peace.
God bless you, Anthony.
And the digital underground, and just that really. That got to my heart, so thank you. The other thing, y'all, let's be real for a second, because I did very much enjoy the McPherson tape. Like I just full on. It was a great. It was just a lot of fun to watch, and I think especially when you think of it as being passed to somebody else in their basement that they watched, thinking it was real. That's super fun. But when watching it. Because, and we're going to get into this a little bit later with some of the other movies, is that I do think that some of these, when done correctly, give you a little bit to let you in to be like, it's not real. Like there's always like a little something. For me, and this felt intentional and probably for budgetary reasons, because from what I saw, he shot this for $6,500, which is really impressive.
It's impressive.
Nobody thought those aliens looked.
No,
like,
I was
Party City aliens.
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about that.
I just saw that, and maybe it's because maybe after years of not seeing, and I think so. Ryan, that communion book cover, that's like around the same time, right?
Yeah.
And wasn't that the first time that like grays really broke out into popular culture?
Keep talking. I'm gonna grab the book.
Okay, perfect. I remember talking about that because Ryan and I talked about communion before for his podcast. I think last year, and grays, as I believe they're called. There we go. That look of a gray with the whatever shape the head is and the eyes. The slit nose, that was just becoming popularized. And a lot of it is because of that book cover, right? Does that book cover have a date on it? Do you know what year that was?
So the book came out in, let me double check here. And I want to get this right, because this is a pinnacle book in ufology. 1987.
Okay, so I would even love to ask Dean if he had seen the book ahead of time, or if he had thought it, like gotten that idea from somewhere else. Maybe he was one of the early adapters. But I guess again, and because we're talking within context, at the time, maybe that got people. I don't know. It is. He shot it on $6,500, and it's still, there's a lot of fun stuff about the aliens. But I saw that and I was like, okay, this is him letting us know that this isn't real.
Right. Well, let's talk about let's talk about the first time you see them. Nick, I'm sorry, but
go
ahead.
I wanted to add, that was the thing that I thought watching this movie, the only thing I would have liked more, and it's funny, now that I watch movies as I'm older, I appreciate what I don't see. So like I remember seeing Blair Witch Project and being like, we don't see the fucking witch. Still being freaked the fuck out by it the whole time. But I remember being like, whatever age I was, my early teens or almost teenager, and wanting that moment, and wanting the tangible thing. And now as I'm older and I watch stuff, I'm like, no, sometimes not seeing something is more effective. And that's what I thought with this film. I was like, man, I would have loved to have not seen the fucking alien. And like, just let it, like, it's like the fucking end of The Sopranos, spoiler. Just like, go to black if something happened, because it's so grainy anyway that I lost so much detail, that and in a way that I liked, that I almost would have rather just not seen them. And then I would have been that much more like kind of creative. Because as soon as they walked in, I was like, oh, those are some, well, if you're like me, my height people, or those are just some like, or I'm like, okay, yep, that is.
Yeah, you're a little short.
Yeah, that's I was like, that's just it broke me out. I was like, oh, okay, I get why it's happening, but like, I would have loved to just not seen them, or just kept the body. Like you see them carrying in the body, and I was like, okay, hidden enough that it still kind of worked for me. Because one of the things that whenever I deal or watch anything with aliens, and this is across the board for all the films we're gonna see, like, and I understand that there's. I mean, obviously, if there's aliens, there's lots of different kinds of aliens, right? Just like there's lots of kinds of species of things all over the place. But the idea of the gray is such a common idea that we see, right? Like it's such an easy thing to go to that, like, it almost breaks me out of it. It almost takes me out of the illusion of what I'm watching. And that was something that, like, I would have rather not seen an alien.
It's so funny you mentioned that, Nick. Like, I get reports of people claiming to have seen these gray beings or having been abducted by them. And when I have them describe it and it's this prototypical gray alien, I do kind of be like, well, like either this is a pattern and all these people are being abducted by the same beings, or you just saw that in pop culture and that's what you went with. So I struggle with that as a UFO researcher and an individual who is very empathetic to what we call experiencers, people who have claimed to have experienced these things. And again, I'm like, this discussion tonight isn't about judging those who have claimed alien abductions or anything like that. But I understand what you're saying. The weirder the reports are that come to me, the more obscure, the more I tend to believe it. That it's not the same story I've heard over and over again.
Right. And
so
I just would have been more scared. Like just being an audience member, like I am always more scared of what I do not get to see, especially in found footage stuff, because like it's like, oh, we're gonna set the shot up perfectly so you get the reveal, like Andrew said, like the nod that this isn't real is when you get that like perfect reveal of the thing that's coming after you. When that doesn't happen and some other thing happens to that camera, to me, that's way spookier, because my mind, especially as like a theater creator, starts to fill in.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Bless you. Starts to fill in the.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that point.
Yeah, seemed legit at the time.
Yeah, I will say, like, and I get what you're saying, Nick, and I don't disagree. But my counter question would be, what if it was something that you had seen? Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Okay,
yeah, that was pretty popular. I tend to forget about that movie.
Okay, yeah.
Which hold on one sec. I should mention this poster behind me is from Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Nice.
When
yeah.
Little kid, yeah. Oh my gosh, the artist is escaping me, but I will put a link in the show notes. Just by chance, I got that because I thought it looked Halloweeny and UFO-y. So yeah, thought I would mention that. But yeah.
My counter question, Nick, would be like, so in do you think? And I know obviously it's hard to put yourself in a certain position after you've already watched something.
Yeah.
But if you, let's say, you saw this, even if you knew it was a movie, in 1989, and this was a concept for an alien that you may not have seen that often, do you think that would have given you any kind of leniency?
I mean, it's all context, right? Like it's all in a matter of like what you're used to seeing at a given time.
Right.
So yeah, I'm sure like that's, I mean, dude, Killer Clowns from Outer Space scared the living shit out of me when I was a
man,
kid.
look,
So
those
I'm
clowns
sure,
are pretty scary looking.
my brother would be like, "We're gonna watch this shit now." I'd be like, "No." So I'm sure if I watched this, even as a younger viewer, right, if this somehow floated into our house because my brother loves scary movies, I would have been like, "Oh my god."
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if we're looking at it like constructively, like if you're going to make a film like that where budget is an issue, right? So clearly, I'm sure I would love to know that like you saved your budget for that, right? Like that's the thing that like you're going to spend your money on to create that moment. But would it have been more effective to not see it so like them walking in the room in that way?
Yeah.
But
I get that.
Totally
what about the standing in front of the ship moment?
What's that?
What about the standing in front of the ship moment? Did you not like that either?
No, see, it's funny because for me, when I was watching it, that happened so fast.
Okay.
Like when I talk about like the quality of the video adding to the film for me because it isn't high def, like that kind of stuff for me passed. I loved it because I couldn't like it happened so fast and I was trying to like make out what was going on. Same with them carrying the alien in. Like there's enough that's kind of hidden from me that it worked. It was just the end, the walking in the end where I was like, those are people in a costume.
Yeah.
Like,
so
I think that even like a teenage me would have been like, those are people in a costume.
All right. That's fair. Well, I'm glad Andrew brought up the ship. So I'm just going to kind of fast forward through the plot just in case people haven't really seen it. So, it's this little girl's birthday. She blows out her candles. Then the power goes out. So these older brothers go out to fix the electricity and they end up going, they see something kind of like, I don't know if it like zips by or crash lands, but they see something go off in the distance in the woods. So they go out and, the teenager who's still filming all of this, because he's like, oh, this is kind of cool. They see literally a landed UFO in like it looks kind of like a gorge or like a gully, whatever you would call that. And a ravine. Thank you, Nick. That's the East Coast coming out in me. A gorge.
I got you Midwest right here.
Yep. And that ship, we see like kind of remnants of a UFO and some little aliens in front of it. I mean, Dean built that ship from scratch. I think with like
cool
plywood and like paper mache and stuff.
It's really impressive.
It's so good. So impressive. I have to give him credit. And like, he had a couple people on set with him, but like this was as skeleton crew as it comes. And I'm just amazed at what he was able to do with that. But moving back to the plot, so they see it, the aliens see them, so they run back into the house, tell the rest of the family, there's fucking aliens out there. And then the family gets all worked up, and then what happens? The aliens start to move in on the house, and you get that kind of typical aliens trap them in the house thing, like the Hopkinsville Goblins or Signs. Signs was incredibly inspired by the Hopkinsville Goblin case as well. And I think another one of our films that we're going to talk about was inspired by either Signs or the McPherson Tape. But yeah, that's kind of the story. We don't have to go through the whole thing.
Yeah.
They're trying to fend off these aliens. They shoot one, bring it into the house, put it in a bedroom. And then the brothers try to go, I don't know, find the cops or something. And they never come back. So you're kind of left with the rest of the family to fend for themselves as this invasion happens. Anything you guys want to add?
Don't bring him inside. Why do you bring him inside? That's what I'm saying.
Why would you bring him inside?
Why the fuck are you bringing that thing into your house?
I get that.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of
first question.
And I think I grant this some leeway in that kind of stuff, just because I think that we now know that people do a lot of stupid things for no reason. I think that's just look, if you can't accept that, fantastic.
I mean, it's a good thing. I mean, I'm yelling at my TV being like, don't do it. No.
Right. But there are a couple things. There was one thing I just have to say, and this probably, look, on a week of rehearsal, I'm impressed with what they were able to get done. I will say, I thought the improv was great, and I'm not even sure, was there a full script, Ryan, or was it improv most? Okay, that's what I figured.
He gave them like a premise of the scene, and they did everything.
I feel like there were just a couple times, and this could again, getting a week of rehearsal, where they just all not all of them, but a lot of them had like kind of actory moments, and a lot of them had to do with things where it's like, okay, for this one part though, you have to say there's an alien outside of the, like, whenever they were fed lines, you could really tell, and I was just like, oh, that's kind of like, it's charming. I think there's a lot of charm to this movie. I don't fault it for those kind of things. It's just like I wouldn't fault Clerks for some of the line reads that are in that movie. Like there is just only so much you could do with that budget and that amount of time, and I think that they really did a lot. I think they did a lot that was impressive, and some of the moments.
Shit happens with big budgets too.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
Just honestly,
big time. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Right.
There's shit I watch all the time where I'm like, this is really good, and you get to a point where you're like, I mean, especially as like a person who teaches performance, right? And you get to you're like, oh yeah. Or if I'm performing and like I'm like, oh, ooh. I think that's the nature of the beast, I think sometimes.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and I think this is a good point to mention too. This became pretty popular that people at Dick Clark Productions saw it and said, this is awesome. We let's do this. And they hired Dean to remake this with like a $1.5 million budget instead of $6,500. And it's almost shot for shot. I'm not kidding you.
That's cool.
But this was, mind you, UPN who hired all the actors and stuff. So talk about like knowing something's fake. You've got like just eating the scenery. And
one of the kids from Space Cases was in there.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. That was that's how I knew it was fake.
The kid with the ears. The kid with the ears from Space Cases. The ears and the mullet.
Yeah. Also, Space Cases. I was trying to think of what that show was called. Yeah, good gig, man.
I've been that show. Maybe somebody out there can help me. I feel like that show is hard to find. I don't understand all the things that were put on Paramount Plus. I can watch Are You Afraid of the Dark, Rocko's Modern Life, Nick Arcade, all kinds of stuff. I can't watch Space Cases.
No,
I can't watch Space Cases. I can watch Hey Dude, and I can't watch Space Cases.
Is on Paramount Plus.
It's on Paramount Plus, yeah.
Wait, is Salute Your Shorts on Paramount Plus?
Fuck yeah, Salute Your Short is on Paramount Plus. But you know what isn't?
That's a whole other podcast.
Space Cases.
That show.
That's
right. No more digressing. I remember watching that show because I'm like, yo, Zach from Power Rangers is on that show.
Yes, he was.
And then Julie stays. Jewel stays.
The one who ended up in
Firefly.
Firefly, right?
So I watched her flash forward on Disney, and then she was in that show, and I was like, "You are beautiful." And therefore, and then she was gone in the second season. I was like, "You just robbed me."
PG, Nick. Keep it PG, buddy.
Disney, you robbed me, and Nickelodeon, you robbed me. That show was great.
Anthony Clark says, "Oh my God, the best." Let's see. Let's run through a few of these comments. Thanks, Mary, for being here. UFO T.
I like Signs too.
Signs is a great movie. I love Signs.
Space Ghost and Zorak, sure.
I saw that. I love it. Don't forget Brack Show. Let's I guess because we could talk about all these movies forever.
Yeah.
Geez, we've been going for almost 55 minutes already, guys. Let me see if there's anything else I want to really hit here. So it kind of. What did I miss?
Nothing. Please continue.
Okay. All right. I love you guys. This is a side of me that my viewers and listeners don't see often. Ryan in like theater and film mode with my two best friends. So I hope people are digging this. So what do we got? Dead alien in the bedroom. The family is kind of like dealing with all these weird paranormal things going on in the house that the aliens are probably a part of. And then we get to the end of the movie. And this is interesting. They're trying to calm down, keep the young daughter distracted from all this. And then we get the final shots of the movie, which, while I agree, looked a little cheesy, I thought were very effective. Like the fact that you're getting
that's a great
angle, and you're just seeing these creatures walk quietly into the home. I was just like, oh my God, like look over, please look over. And then movie cuts out.
And it's them, and I love too. It's the family playing cards. I love that idea that they keep trying to calm each other down. You know, especially given that there's a 5-year-old there. Yeah, like it's just really there's something very human about the whole thing that I really that I just really appreciated, and I think was really well done and really helps enjoy the movie, the picture. Like it's there's this. Not even just heart necessarily. There is this humanity to it that I think is a good hook for something that is a found footage movie. And it feels like it is found footage.
Yep.
I really appreciated, there are some things that are a little contrived. That happens. But I appreciated that the tone, the vibe, even when crazy shit is going on, it feels very found footage. I also love the excuse of keeping the camera around. And this is, I feel like this would be a thing that would be done now, which is kind of funny. Which is the whole like, oh, that thing's huge and it's on your shoulder. Like, get it. I love that was happening in real time. Like, I mean, like 6 years removed, because I know it's supposed to take place in 83, but that's how somebody would have reacted at the time. And I just think that's funny that that's captured like a little time cap.
Right. And we're all of that age. Like, I remember when my family got a camera like that. I mean, dude, it came out all the fucking time.
Sure.
I mean, just because, like, you know, for my parents who are old, so my parents are much older. They were born in the 40s. So for them, like, this shit's just, I mean, when that came into our house, it was revolutionary.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, think about the first time you got a camera phone. I was taking pictures of everything.
Yeah. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you for that super chat. We have to still have fun discussing it while seriously talking about it. It gets so dry at times. Keep it fun. He's totally right. Like, that's what tonight is for. Like, we will leave the abduction phenomenon, the serious nature of it, at the door. We're here tonight to talk about some
kind of. I think I'm gonna have to talk about that later. And you know me,
absolutely.
Ryan.
One thing I want to point out, I know we're slowly moving, but I thought this is a really good example too in films, like, where good, like, having a very clear purpose of what you're trying to do. Like, this is what I'm trying to accomplish with this film. And then good storytelling can overshadow a lot of what would seem shortfalls or seem problems, like budget, like, but knowing what you want to do. And it's so impressive that it was the first one to watch that and be like, this director knew what he wanted to do with this. It was clear, and he executed it so beautifully. It just goes to show that storytelling, how much that can really, especially going into films later on, how much like a clear idea of storytelling can really bolster what you're doing.
Yeah. And it can like a story and an actor can really make something that might lack in other ways, like, really shine. And I think this cast just they seem like a real family. And it just seems so authentic to me.
I loved the grandmother. I thought she was fantastic.
Well,
and I saw somebody in the comments say that they thought she
had
was
an actual experience.
That's wild.
Yep.
No, I thought she was.
She told the story at her audition, I believe, and they were like,
cool.
She's cast.
Yeah, she was great.
She was great.
Yeah, she was really
gruff
really good.
Old grandma. You know,
Yeah.
There's aliens out there. What? There's no like. What are you talking?
And I loved all that. And again, this is not a criticism. I just think this is funny. That it cracked me up that they were able to talk those dudes down. They just saw something that should break their brain, and they were just like, "No, it's fine." And they're like, they hug it out. They're like, "All right, I'm good. You know what? You're
let's
right.
Go
let's
play
let's play canasta." Like it's, I did.
Birthday party commence. Yeah, it was pretty interesting. That's crazy. Well, let's do this, guys. I've got a short. I've got about a 5-minute clip from Dean, who wanted to give his thoughts on a lot of this for the audience. So, if you guys want to go take a little break, I'm going to go ahead and play that for the audience right now. We're going to get the inside scoop.
I do want to watch it.
Absolutely. You're going to be able to watch it right now. Let me make sure I have this ready to go. Enjoy, guys. This is Dean Alioto talking about the movie.
Ryan and Andrew, I heard that you guys are going to be reviewing my film, The McPherson Tape, and that you wanted me to comment on the making of it and also talk about my journey into the UFO alien abduction phenomenon rabbit hole. This film was made for 2 reasons. The first was I had to make my first feature by the age of 25 because all of my film directing idols like Spielberg and Scorsese had done that. And the second reason is that I had read Whitley Strieber's book, Communion, which scared the shit out of me more than any Stephen King novel had ever done. And so I felt compelled to share this with an audience, but have them feel it as close as they can without actually being abducted. And so I came up with the conceit of shooting it through the lens of a 16-year-old's new home video camera. This is 10 years before Blair Witch, so there was no kind of reference for, oh, I'll just do a found footage film. It was more of, well, I've shot wedding videos, so maybe if I just take this as an event, a little girl's 5-year-old birthday party, and have this kid videotape it and then conflate the two where all of a sudden here this UFO sighting happens and they go out to investigate and they see this ship and aliens, and then one by one they get abducted and it's all caught on videotape. I thought that would be as close as possible as I can get to approximating what that experience would be like. So I set about doing this. I only had a budget of $6,500. I hired improvisational actors out of San Francisco, the Bay Area. This was shot just outside of that. And we went about shooting this in essentially one night. I play the kid, Michael, and I have a headset on that I'm communicating to all the assistant directors. So I'm telling them, cue the alien ship, cue the aliens. And I'm trying to stay in character as a kid with this camera. It was a blast. It was very much like shooting a live sporting event. For the aliens, I took a page out of the Spielberg Alien directing playbook and hired kids to play the aliens, 3 girls, and that was it. We had $750 for the ship and alien masks and rubber hands. You know, we had no idea really what we had because it was so experimental. It was just, let's just go out and shoot this, and what we get is, you know, what we're meant to get. We actually got a distribution deal, and the film was set to get released. Unfortunately, the distribution company burned to the ground and lost my main master and all my artwork, and I thought, well, that was it. And it was, for 5 years. And then I received a call from someone claiming that he had been to the International UFO Congress Convention, where my film had been shown as the real McCoy. A lieutenant colonel and a UFO researcher claimed it was authentic, and it supposedly brought the house down, and there were several TV shows that wanted to do specials. Shows like Unsolved Mysteries, Encounters, etc. And so I went on one of these shows and debunked it because my feeling was I admire UFO researchers and you know, trying to get to the truth, and they sure as hell don't need to be going down any more blind alleys that seem to be created every month by fake UFO makers. And so I debunked the film on national TV, and again thought, well, that was it. That was my kind of, you know, 15 minutes of fame on this project. And then flash forward a few years later, and I'm at UPN, and I'm pitching them a TV movie version of this. And now my budget was $1.25 million, and we got the guys from the X-Files to do the ship and aliens. And again, thought that was it. You know, it came out, did really well. And then several years went by, and with the proliferation of online and chat rooms and forums and stuff, a whole new crop of conspiracy theories started building around this, and it basically kind of cemented the cult status of the films. And so just a few years ago, I received a call from Alejandro Rojas and Karen Brard at the International UFO Congress Convention, and for the 25th anniversary, they wanted to show the film again. And so that was kind of where part 1 of my journey as a filmmaker ended, and my journey as someone getting sucked into the UFO alien rabbit hole began. At these conventions, which I'd never gone to before, I met a whole bunch of people who seemed highly credible. I ended up actually going to a couple UFO support group meetings and left being just completely both terrified and shocked by what I had witnessed. There were people from all walks of life, from supervisors of Homeland Security to doctors and lawyers, major in the Army, a woman who had done TED Talk, highly credible people that were smart, articulate, and did not cause a blip to go off on my bullshit meter. So looking back on that film, I'm really, really grateful that people have kept it alive and have been inspired by it, and some of them made their own films, and that people in the UFO community have also found it inspiring and worthy of conversation, and I look forward to doing more projects in that space. And lastly, and this is most important, you can get my film at Amazon. You can get it on Blu-ray, and you can also stream it. So thank you guys again for reviewing the film. I'm honored. Hope everyone digs it who hasn't seen it yet, and look forward to creating more content in this space in the future. Cheers.
Awesome. So that was Dean coming in to give us the inside scoop on both versions of that. I hope you guys had a good break. I'll bring you back in just a sec. Nick's here. I'll bring you in, Nick. What's up, buddy?
What's up?
So yeah, we got the inside scoop from Dean. I thought that was pretty cool to have
amazing.
Have him tell us. Yeah, let's do it. Final rating of McPherson Tape. Let's do 1 out of 10 flying saucers. What do you think?
I'd give it like an 8. Wait, can we do 1 out of 10 not using 7? Can't use
Why?
7.
Sure,
Because
Nick.
There's a whole there's a whole study that people will do that if you say rate something from 1 out of 10, most people
7.
will do 7 because they don't want to go lower than 7 because 6 is bad. But they don't want to go higher than 7 because that means it's too good. So if you eliminate 7,
7.5.
you motherfucker.
No, I'm just kidding. No. And I'm actually going to go much higher than that. I'm going to go because I think I would want to go, especially out of the 4 that I watched. Ooh, it's tough. I'm going to say 10 out of 10. I'm going to give it 10 out of 10 flying saucers. I really am. I really enjoyed it. I think Nick nailed it, that there's a clear intent and mission to what's going on. I think he executed it really well, especially with the tools that he had at his hand. And I think the fact that it fooled a generation of people is pretty impressive. Especially, and I appreciate knowing that was not his intent. His intent was not to fool people. I think that's very important, and it's going to come up. And it's going to come up again later.
Film. Yeah,
good. That's amazing. I love that. I'm really impressed by that.
Really, that's going to come up again later. Really, Andrew?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Cool. Yeah.
Cool.
Let's move on. Oh, I'm going to mix mine together. Between Nick's and yours, I'll give it a 9.5. I don't know what he could have really.
Stuff.
I don't know.
1 to 10.
I don't know
guys,
what Dean could have done
rules.
better. He had so much working against him, so many challenges, being the first of his kind. He had a lot to lose with this, but I think this really cemented him as like a pioneer in filmmaking, which was a dream of his. He probably never saw it like being the first of something, but he did. So I give him all the credit in the world. McPherson
Tape for his movie getting seen too, because like when you make any kind of film, it's such a fucking labor of love that like
absolutely
good for him. That's
well,
amazing.
okay. Before we move to our next film, very quick story. I was in one of Dean Aliotto's newest horror movies. This was when I was living in LA. He called me up. He's like, "Hey, what would you think about playing a douchey paranormal investigator?" And I told him, "I don't really have to act. I can do that. Like it's fine."
Check.
Check, done. And I was all in. I hadn't acted in years. Nick, you know, like I'm horrible at memorizing scripts and stuff. I have like 4 lines and I couldn't even, it was insane. But fast forward, we shot in this incredible neighborhood in right outside LA. It was actually the neighborhood where they shot Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, cool.
And also the we filmed next door to the Thriller house from the Thriller music video. It was so cool. It's just like these really old haunted house looking places in LA. You would never expect these places to be there, but lo and behold, that's where they were. So we Dean had scouted this house where we were playing like it was haunted, and I'm like the paranormal investigator who's super like trying to be cool and like everything we do is real. Like I'm the one who communicates with the ghosts. Nobody else can. Blah blah blah. So we shoot this scene where we're walking up, and my girlfriend Jane is in the movie as well. She plays a psychic, along with my ghost hunting crew. I've got the 2 big burly white bald dudes in the back, like every ghost hunting crew has. Every ghost hunting crew is all white. Andrew, you'll have to explain that one to me.
Why am I gonna wait? Now, hold on a second.
Why does Andrew have to explain something to us?
As our resident, not 100% white guy, I would like you to explain that. Why are all ghost hunters white?
Yeah, let me tell you about yourself. Don't you put that on me?
I'm sorry, that's a lot of pressure. Mind you, there is literally a ghost hunting show with just African Americans. It's amazing.
And I can give you half an answer on both.
I love it. Uh-oh. I'm digging myself in a hole here. Let's move on.
What's next?
So we're filming. I'll finish with this. We were filming the scene, And I go up to the door to like knock for like, and nobody's home. Like the house is vacant. It's been vacant forever, or so we thought. So I knock on the door, and that's like cut, done. We're not going to show what goes on after that. Somebody had been living in the house, and Dean thought it was vacant and empty. We were filming, mind you, on their front porch for almost 2 hours.
Shit.
And I go to knock on the door, you know, being all like confident, we're done. And the door flings open, and this woman got in my face, and she was like, what the fuck are you doing? Who are you? Get off my property. Oh my God. And then her husband came out, and I swear they had a gun. I might not have seen it, but they definitely were the type who would have shot us dead right there. And oh my God, man, we had this really awkward exchange. We ran into the car, we got out of there, and Dean felt so bad. He was like, oh my God. He's like, I swear I checked this out. I was told it was vacant. Like I knocked for almost 30 minutes. No one answered. And to be fair, like these people looked like they had been squatting. So it's very possible that they didn't even live there. But they had the crazy eyes. So we got the hell out of there. But that was a memorable experience of filming with Dean Elliott, as I'm sure it was
awesome,
for McPherson Tape as well.
Good story.
Yeah. So check out the movie Portal, which is on Amazon right now.
Portal, P-O-R-T-A-L.
Starring, and starring, I might add, Heather Langenkamp from.
Hey, cool.
Yeah,
wait,
I did not get to film.
Heather
with her,
Langenkamp. She was Nancy. No, was it?
Yeah,
Nancy?
the lead in
Nancy.
the first Nightmare.
Yeah, in the first one, and then she shows up in the third one, and then she's in my favorite one.
And shows up in the New Nightmare.
Yeah.
It's a great fucking movie.
Yeah, I don't know how they got her, but they got her, and it's actually a pretty fun movie. So check out Portal by Dean Elliott. But let's move on to our next film. We've got Alien Abduction. Nope, we don't. I fast forwarded too much. Sorry, guys. We have Slumber Party. Alien Abduction. 2013, like Andrew mentioned, this is a segment from the movie VHS 2.
Yes.
So for any of you guys who don't know, these VHS movies they all kind of have that like found footage feel, like this is supposed to be VHSs you dug up or whatnot. Am I right?
And I think it also gives the kind of, and I'm sure maybe Jason, when you spoke to him earlier, maybe he spoke to this, but I feel like it is the setup for this particular one is these people break into a house and they find all these tapes, like, and they broke into the wrong house essentially. But I feel like it has that kind of like tape swap feel to it. These movies, like, you know, like, oh, you're passing these VHSs around, like that's how you see Faces of Death, or how you see, like, you know, it's yeah, I don't know. It has that kind of feel to it, the movies. And I really love, there's a lot of fun stuff in VHS too. I think that one, I saw that one, and I remember actually there are a couple segments that I thought were really, really standouts. One of the other segments is done by Eduardo Sanchez, who did Blair Witch.
Absolutely. Yes, exactly. We're in good company here for sure. This was
and Adam Wingard did one of them. Sorry.
Yep. No, dude, they were packed. And that's what's so cool is like these anthology series. They get these really talented people to kind of give their own take on things, put them all together. It's like having a play festival, you know?
Yeah, sure.
You get a bunch of different visions and stories being told, written and directed by Jason Eisner, who, for those of you who don't know, he has a funny film called, I think, Hobo with a Shotgun.
Yes, which made it into the Grindhouse. He won a competition and made it into the Grindhouse fake trailer thing. He's also behind one of my favorite shows, Dark Side of the Ring. I will say that I wore my Foley cosplay tonight, half because I knew we were covering a movie that Jason did. And I think y'all, even if you are not a wrestling fan, watch Dark Side of the Ring.
Ryan was just telling me about it.
Watch it's a phenomenal show. The documentaries, the stuff that they are able to uncover. Speaking of humanity, the heart and humanity that they bring to a lot of those stories, and they bring attention to wrestlers and stories about certain wrestlers that really don't get as much attention as they should.
Wrestling's a hard fucking life.
Really hard.
It is like anything. Like there's like the tops, and I mean that's hard. But then you have like everyone trying to make it. Like it's fucking crazy.
It's really rough, and it used to be a lot harder too. Like there's just
365 days a year. Those guys.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
the shit they put their bodies through. I mean,
and for a long time too. Before now, luckily, DDP is saving everybody with his yoga, but instead, everybody would just be in pain and just fucking take pills or
popping
drink
pills.
It's come a long way.
It has, yeah.
So, and
Dark
I'd say this lightly.
great.
Screw the Undertaker for being like, back in at one point recently, and then I'm done with this tangent. At one point recently, the Undertaker was just like, back in my day, people after wrestling, but we got drunk till 4 a.m. and got into bar fights. We didn't, play video games for a bunch of hours. And it's like, bro, back in your day, these dudes had would die constantly, and that is still a problem with pro wrestling. But it's like there's the people that ruin their lives doing shit like that, and now these guys are trying to save their mental health by instead of going out to bars till 4 or 5 a.m, they're going on Twitch.
The whole
video
point,
games,
the whole point of generations, the next is to make it easier and better for the generation before you. I will speak. So this is my one night when I'm going to be a parent. I have a young son. All I think about is like, how can I, Nick Westemeyer, make something better for my soon-to-be 5-year-old? Like
you prepare him for the water wars of 2047.
Well, yes, of course. Well, he's small like me, so he'll be able to get in and out of stuff. It's gonna be great.
Perfect.
But seriously, I hate that shit. When we were kids, great. Then people learn not to be as dumb as you.
I wish more people thought like that, Nick. I really do. I really, really do. All right.
Sorry.
Well, let's talk about Alien Abduction Slumber Party.
I had this. Yeah, this being the one I had.
Anthony, Nick is my favorite F-bomber spirit animal. Thanks.
Fucking right.
Thanks, Anthony. And I'm going to reset the room as we do here at Somewhere in the Skies. If you're just joining us, I have Andrew Sanford, Nick Westemeyer with us, two of my best buds here in New York City, both in the TV and film industry. We're reviewing 4 found footage alien abduction movies. If you want to help out Somewhere in the Skies, you can use the super chat. We will highlight your comments or ask your questions to Nick and Andrew as well.
Guys, please help out Somewhere in the Skies. Ryan still owes me whiskey for moving him into his apartment.
I owe you way more than just whiskey, both of you. So yes, please help the show out. And in turn, you'll be helping these two fine gentlemen as well. We are on 2013's Slumber Party Alien Abduction. Quick synopsis. We're at a slumber party. There's an alien abduction. Synopsis done. But the interesting thing about this, found footage, again, but in a really interesting way. This isn't a 16-year-old at a birthday party holding the camera. This is from the point of view of ostensibly a dog with a GoPro camera on it. So we got to give Jason credit for
I love that.
a unique way of filming this thing. So initial thoughts, guys, go.
I really enjoyed it. I had seen this one before, and it's been a while since I've seen it. I think since I saw it. I think I must have saw it right around the time it came out, honestly, or at least came to VOD. But I just really enjoy it. I think there's a lot that's really scary about it. I do think it is clearly heavily inspired by the McPherson tapes. I would be in a very good way. It's almost like an update in a way, or I would call them sister movies. They have a very similar kind. I think they're both trying to accomplish the same thing, except one had 60 minutes and one had 14, which is really impressive with what they're able to get done in that amount of time. But yeah, I think it's very inventive. I would love to. I think as a filmmaker myself, I was like, oh man, how did they shoot in that sleeping bag when the kid's in the water and the dog's in it? I thought that was fantastic. I thought that was really, really cool. Just from even a technical standpoint, I was like, that's really cool.
Let's give some setup for that. So we have the film.
No setup. No setup. Go watch the movie. No.
13 minutes.
Welcome to Somewhere in the Skies, hosted by Andrew Sanford.
Go watch the movie.
In Andrew's day, you had to watch the movie before you heard anything about
before you listened about it.
For real?
What? In his day?
Somebody had to be there with a piano. So otherwise there's no sound. Otherwise there's no sound. They're there with the piano.
All right. We have these kids are gonna have a slumber party. The parents go away for the night. You've got the
very young parents.
Dude.
Not that, but I almost the mom especially. I was like, how old are you? I was like, is she? At first, I thought she was the older sister. This has nothing to do with anything. Right. I was just because they're literally on screen for 5 seconds. But I was like, they seem kind of young.
Yeah. we got to know the parents are out, so the kids are at play, and
Some
these
people
kids
age beautifully.
It's true.
Andrew.
That's
an
They
excellent
age
point.
just
That's an
like,
excellent point.
just
You're watching the opposite happen on the third screen.
Stop it. Stop it. But well, okay. I'm sorry. These kids.
Why are you sorry, Ryan?
These kids are terrible.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they're pretty rough.
Terrible.
Yeah,
so the first kind of like thing we get is they live behind a lake, and the older sister, her boyfriend comes over, obviously, because the parents aren't around, and they're like out on the dock. The little kids are gonna mess with them, get in the water, start soaking them with like super soakers.
Super soakers full of pee.
With pee, mind you, and water balloons full of pee.
Yeah.
And again, like these kids are like, oh my god, they're so.
That's prime little brother.
Man.
I was proud of them.
Yeah.
I was like,
You like that?
That boyfriend was a real jerk.
Yeah,
he was
he
a
deserved his
real
pee.
jerk.
Well, let's
I
talk
love
about
that.
this. So the
Yeah,
boyfriend, he gets all pissed. He jumps in the water to get one of the.
Well,
younger
let's
kids.
start. No. Let's start. The boyfriend shows up, drives over one of their costumes, kicks their stereo. Kicks it. I was like, that
Who
goes
does that?
man. Kicks their stereo. I was like, this dude's an absolute. And again, you have 14 minutes, so he just kick that stereo. Thank you for that. And look, I appreciate
just got your Twitter handle.
That handle is no longer accurate, but if you follow that handle on Twitter, you'll see some occasionally funny stuff. If you go there right now, I posted a picture from this live show. Ask me questions there.
Do it. Yeah. So the boyfriend's a dick. Obviously, we've established that.
Yes, we have. Very well.
He jumps in the water to get the kid who's right now kind of filming the thing before they put the GoPro on the dog. And that's where we get our first
I love that.
shot.
I love that.
What did you guys think of our first shot of the alien?
I love.
That was great.
That was
my god,
terrifying.
It was real scary.
I was not expecting that.
And it is a jump. What I love about some jump scares, because I'm not a big jump scare person, but what I liked about that is it's a blink and you'll miss it kind of jump scare. Yep. I don't remember that from the first time that I watched this. And to see that happen, I was like, oh, cool. I just thought that was really, really strong, real scary. They look great.
Yes, they do.
They look so good.
I do talk to Jason about that. The alien creatures in this were very simple, but also really scary. But yeah, so what I thought was really interesting is the boy jumps in the water, but then when the camera goes under, it's an alien. And again, it was the first jump scare. And how he did that, it astounds me. Just for the budget he had, the time, they shot this in a week. They shot this thing in a week.
That's really impressive. That's really impressive.
And again, I've never seen an alien abduction movie starting in the water of all things.
Sure. Yeah.
Unique,
that's a good point.
Well, what do we got next? Any of you guys want to go on to whatever the next plot point was here?
Plot point. Well, I mean, then the sequel starts. The thing I liked about it, I just watched this. I watched this before we got on. It was the last thing I had to watch. So I was at my computer setting up and huddled so my wife and kid in here. But I have to say, short films, short plays, whatever. If you can do it well, if you can tell a succinct story in fucking 13 minutes that engages me, scares me a little bit, I have to kudos you because that means you have to get all of your storytelling done immediately. There's no fat, right? It's all got to be. And I thought this did a pretty good job at that. I never lost. I never disengaged. It didn't allow me to disengage. And I thought that the storytelling in this was really good. And with that first alien shot, or even some of the other ones, to me, and I think I'll keep coming back to this because to me, when I watch these movies, it's what I like. For scares, you get just enough alien to make it really good, but not so much that you start to pick it apart. And I thought they did a great job. It was great design. It was great creature work. And then it was executed. Your visions of the creature were executed really well.
Mm-hmm. Nick didn't be shy. Jump in there. He did. Shy. He jumped in there. Yeah, man. And let's I think you're right. You have so much time to tell the story. I think he had a really good beginning, middle, and end. We'll get there, but let's talk about the slumber party aspect.
Sure.
So And you guys know
sorry,
which scene I'm going to bring up. We get this scene where the girlfriend and the older brother walk in on the kids in the living room.
Right.
And one of the kids is, I'm just going to say it.
Who does that at a slumber
Was
party?
beating off to a porn.
Pounding off, as they say.
Pounding off, as the kids say, to a porn. So I want to ask you guys, is this a thing? Like,
No.
did you guys watch
No.
porns with your friends at slumber parties or anything like that? Like, who
No.
does that? Again, that's why I'm like, who are these kids? What damn
So I may have
village
watched
did they
like
come
late
from?
night HBO or Cinemax with
Of
like my
course.
friends because they had it, and you're like, "Yo, we need to watch some like fucking late night."
While we can. Yeah.
Yeah. But there was like, that's about as far as that went.
Well, no, you really cut yourself off there. No, because here's the thing: has that happened to me personally? Not to my knowledge, because I was usually one of the first ones to sleep with these kind of things.
Me too.
And
Yep.
that's if I would go, because I was also not a big slumber party person growing up. I still don't like sleeping in not my own place.
I get it.
That being said, let us remember that 14-year-olds are disgusting. Right? Right? I think we can agree with that. The young teenagers are gross. And especially like boys that age. Oh God, disgusting.
Boys are
Filthy
every
little animals. And, like, I'm already nervous. I've had to warn my wife. I have 2 little boys, and at some point there'll be if your friends had a pet. Look, watching porn together is a weird thing that young boys do.
Because you just
it is a thing that, like, because that, and then it's just awkward. It's just awkward around. This to me was the least far-fetched thing of the entire thing.
I had to get your guys' opinion on that.
I was like, of course. Look, he's in a sleeping bag. It's not like it's going anywhere. Right? He's shielded.
Good point.
Like, come on, where's it gonna go? Oh, into the sleeping bag with him. That's his mess. All right.
Little boy, listen. Toddler to like kid boys are also equally fucking disgusting.
Oh, sure. Look, boys are gross. Like, children are disgusting, and I love mine.
You don't have to tell any of us. Yeah.
I picked up my kid's mattress to change the sheets, and underneath I just saw goldfish and fucking Cheerios for days. I'm like,
sure.
Where? What? How? And then I opened up the couch. I'm like, oh.
And you did not throw that out, correct? You
No.
respected his stash.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Not a real goldfish, right? I just want to make that
No, like the very underrated snack that is fantastic.
I like goldfish. Joy's a big goldfish person. My problem with goldfish, I'll eat too many. They're not heavy enough.
Yeah.
Like, what I like about Cheez-Its is Cheez-Its let me know when I'm done eating Cheez-Its. Goldfish, I'll eat that entire bag without even thinking twice about it.
I will too. And then
quality content here, guys, at Somewhere in the Sky.
Yeah, you hear this with Snack Talk.
That was my old podcast.
Andrew, Nick, and Ryan.
Somewhere in the
Snacking.
Snacks, where we're talking about 13-year-old boys masturbating. Wow.
Yeah. We're talking about
gone off the rails.
Who wants to talk about what an ookie cookie is? We'll just cross the two of them over.
No,
what are you doing? Wait, where's everybody going?
Okay, let's get back on track here. So the boys being
I think we've been perfectly on track. It's the movie that got us talking about masturbation. I got it right. I think we're doing service.
More coffee says, I have 5 kids. Girls, there we go. We got the woman's perspective. I love that.
Appreciate you.
So that scene happens, whatever. And now they're all kind of in the same room. And this is when things really start to get amped up. We get like crazy.
It's like the
house is shaking. And lights are coming into the windows. Clearly something weird.
Because you got so much time. You got to get that shit moving.
You got to get it in now. And then
the boyfriend just has a shotgun.
Yeah,
just finds an easily accessible shotgun that the person who doesn't live there knows where it is. Again, This is not a criticism. This is not everything wrong with sleep, whatever those stupid videos are. No. That's not a criticism. It's just funny.
We're nitpicking, Jason, if you're watching this.
Yeah. And it's not even a nitpick because it brought me a sense of joy. It made me happy that he just suddenly had a shotgun. I was like, oh shit, like that's, and he seemed like that kind of character. It's just like, where'd he get that shotgun? It doesn't matter. It's just a fun thing to think about.
Right. So this is when it goes.
And he gets got.
He gets got
I
0
think
to
he
80.
does.
We go 0 to 180 like
Yeah.
immediately. There's
Fuck
no
yeah.
like there's no subtlety of aliens
No.
coming in or weird paranormal stuff. Like these aliens fucking bust through like psychopaths and just zip these kids up in their sleeping bags and drag them the hell out of there.
Yeah,
That
'cause that's what
was
would
so
fucking happen.
jolting to me.
Yes. Ryan, I have
Oh
a
my
question
God.
for it. I have a question.
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
it. This might seem like a tangent, but I do not intend it to be one. In the same way that PETA may get upset if a movie like shows the harming of animals or anything like that.
Right.
Are there people, and this is a sincere question, are there people in the UFO community that get upset when aliens are portrayed as hostile?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yes. That
Yeah.
is a big conflict within the UFO community is a lot of them believe aliens are benevolent and they're here
Sure.
to help us and love and light. You've got that whole aspect of it, but you do have those who have claimed very traumatic, evasive, intrusive things. And look, if we're talking about found footage and alien abduction, obviously they're going to go the malevolent
horror
route,
route.
usually the
Yeah,
scary
of
route.
course.
So, but yes, that is a big issue that I think a lot of claimed experiencers have with these types of movies or the way aliens are portrayed or how the quote unquote victims are portrayed. You know, a lot of these people who have these experiences, they do everything they can to fight back or,
Sure.
you know, they don't see themselves as victims.
Right.
And then on TV, like we'll talk about a movie later on that really takes that to the next level. But yeah, that's a great question actually. And kind of see it play out.
Because especially in this one, I'm just like, it's straight up. Like it even looks like help me out here. Are they biting that girl at the end when they?
It looked like they were taking a chunk out of her.
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to eat her, and I was like, oh shit! Like that got me because I was like, I don't think I've seen that done before. That.
Let's talk about that scene. I think Nick, you brought it up. The dragging them out and into the water again. This is not something you see in usually alien abduction lore.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah. The sleeping
aliens
bag.
coming out of the water and then bringing their
Just
abductees back into the water. Yeah. And all you see is the kid in the sleeping bag, and then it starts to fill with water. And that took me a minute to be like, what is happening here? And then I realized, I'm like, holy shit, he brought him into the lake. And like, it blew my mind. I'd never seen anything like that before.
They're almost, to me, this is something with the biting. They're almost predators in this movie. So
yes,
when I watch these, so whenever I watch like an abduction movie, and I always think about this, I'm like, okay, so if things are coming out, whether it's peaceful or whatever side you're going on it, like I try to think about like an animal, right? So like what we do, like people, we're like, oh, let's go check out this wild animal, and then we come in a truck or a plane, and we fucking shoot them with a goddamn dart. And then we like do shit to them. And sometimes they're not like, listen, I've watched a lot of Dr. Oakley on Disney Plus. And a lot of times you're like, that animal's not fully asleep. We don't think it's feeling pain. And I was like, oh, that clocks, right? That fear of something that's unknown, that's doing something, right? Because if you're just an animal, essentially, to these things that are, even if they're not doing it in a malicious way, it could still kind of be fucking malicious. We don't think we're malicious all the time.
Exactly.
And so what I liked about this, dovetailing off that, is the first time that it seemed to me like they were predators. Like it is a predation of the people at this party, which is different than the abduction to me that we'll get to in the other abduction. We're like, no, like the bite, the dragging into the water, the beat, that's hunting. It's literally hunting. Then they're watching, and then it's an attack, right? Then it's like, once it snaps, then it's an attack. And that's what feels so like visceral about this film in a way that the other ones did not. Because you don't know in McPherson Tape what's going to happen with those aliens. You don't, it's left to the imagination. This one, like, they're coming after them in a hyper aggressive way.
It is in your face. Yeah. Oh, predator is a perfect word, Nick. I feel like this is the one that really stuck out to me is like, if this is how an alien race would treat us, like God willing, just kill me now. Like, I don't want to be put through that, to be completely honest. Like, like once they drag them in to their craft or whatever, if that's what they did to them before they even get them on the ship, I don't want to know what comes next. Like, are they gonna, like a little 13-year-old boy, are they gonna start picking the legs off of a a spider, or like what
Yeah.
comes next? I don't want to know.
That's what really got me about the next one that we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's. I guess we gotta confront the dog aspect to this.
Yeah.
Now they put
man.
a
that
GoPro
last
on a
shot.
dog, and so we are literally seeing most of this from the dog's kind of perspective, and the older daughter is kind of trying to keep
That
the dog
starts
safe.
at the masturbation scene.
Yes, where they put it on the
I
dog.
just wanted
yeah.
to bring that up.
Isn't it on the dog for like a hot second earlier too? Like them messing around.
I
at the
think
beginning of the
so. They
film?
were kind of mess. It was
Yes.
a little,
like just to
yeah.
establish it.
Yeah.
So, and I do want to bring this up. So they drag one of the boys in the water, and he essentially drowns. Like he goes code blue, man.
Yeah.
And they drag him out on the dock. The older sister is giving him CPR.
Yeah.
And this is the scene that really got me. You see at the end of the dock, lights are going. We're catching glimpses of something in the distance. Obviously, it's one of these aliens. And as she's giving CPR, you see the alien getting closer. And it was so intense. I had to stop it and like catch my breath. Because not only do you have an alien doing the prototypical getting closer thing, you have a sister trying to save her brother's life. It was just like layers upon layers of just intensity that I personally couldn't handle. I get really affected physically by horror movies. I have a really tough time. But that scene, man, I gave Jason kudos. Like, talk about layering something. It just really, that scene alone really affected me.
And the idea of predator and stalking, right? Like that's when I think the other horror, like that's one of the reasons I love like that first Halloween movie so much, because that whole movie is just him fucking stalking people before anything happens. And that idea of like something that's coming after you again that you can't stop and you don't understand and is otherworldly. The other thing about this film, just make sure I don't cross them, the police lights. That moment where like again the
cool.
tricking, like basically being like, oh my god, it's safe, but it's trickery. It's that whole idea of like really elevating this to like, monster's the wrong word, because I always feel like monsters are mindless in a sense, and this is not that. But again, like things being implemented to lure this group into whatever was going to happen to them. I thought that was fucking brilliant. I'm like, oh, smart, because if you're a higher being, right? Like, what can you implement either for just shits and fucking giggles, or to trick them more so they don't escape?
Right.
That was such a good moment. I was like, that is really creative to me.
In the UFO lore, there's a gentleman named Jacques Vallée who looks at all of this as a very cultural thing, a very psychological thing. And his idea is that a lot of these advanced alien races, if they are real, they are tricksterish in nature. They have kind of that sense to them. This old idea of like, yesterday's fairies are today's aliens, and they will trick you and deceive you to get what they need. And we do see that play out in some of these movies, and especially with this idea of screen memory. They're able to show themselves as something different. To get what they want. Like, we'll talk about that later with owls.
Thank you.
But in this one, you're right, Nick. Like, you think you're safe. The police showed up. No, it's like it's the lights from the UFO is what I presume, or something.
Yeah. And then the alien walks out, and you're like, oh. In that moment, like you're like, God damn it.
Yeah.
Which is my favorite moment in horror movies. You're like,
Sound too. I want to talk to you guys. I listened to this with stereo headphones.
Ooh, okay.
If you listen to this like top volume, like the way Jason used sound in this was just, you've got like this metal dragging of metal screeching sound going on when the creatures are around. You've got kind of that almost Predator, the actual movie Predator, that like, I can't do it like that.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Right?
You're nailing it. Do it again. Crush it. Look at that. Crushing it.
Oh my god.
Crushing it.
Super chat is open for anyone who wants me to keep doing the Predator sound. About somewhere in the skies. Matthew, what's up, buddy? Rowan's here. Just saying hi to some people. Thank you. Oh yeah, I already got that one. Andrew, Nick, I gotta thank you guys. We're good. We're almost on an hour 40. We've been through 2 films. You guys are troopers. We'll get there. I promise we will get there. So let's just go to the end. We get everyone's getting picked off one by one, sort of, and then oh man, you literally see the last boy who's got like the dog get sucked up, which was crazy.
I thought I thought that
in
looked
this.
real rad. I thought that
It was
looked real
awesome.
good, real good. Even if we had to watch that dog die, like in front of
Okay, that's my question. Do you guys think the dog died at the end? I mean, I know he was like bloodied and he was crying.
And
but
what's fucked up?
a part of me is like, I want to think they just were like, just leave it, and it somehow goes on to tell its story to the dog kind.
Not only does that dog die, we watch the last bits of its life ebb out of its body as it happens. It hits the ground and we hear a few whimpers and then it goes cold. That's the fucked up part. It's not even that they killed the dog. It's that the fall didn't kill him right away. We had to watch the rest of it happen.
I hate when animals die in movies.
I don't give a shit really, but I just thought that was that dog's fine. That dog, the real version of that dog, it might be dead in real life, but maybe by natural causes.
Ryan, don't worry. That dog did not die. It definitely didn't feel anything because, it's fine. You're okay.
It's fine. Yeah. Okay. It's in dog heaven. Isn't that a movie?
There is no dog heaven. They all go to hell. That is, look, I love dogs, but they just, that's what happens.
Wow.
Evil.
Wow.
Can't stop, won't stop. Dunwell says, we will not stop.
And it's dog hell too, so there's nothing to chew on.
No hydrants.
No. Everything turns to sour cream in their mouths.
Oh, buddy.
Oh, dude, you just made my stomach turn.
If you have a beagle like I do, they're like, you know what? Is it food? Do I get food? Don't care. Good.
Yeah.
Deborah said, John Wick moment. Yeah, that was the impetus for John Wick.
I can't watch John Wick because I have a beagle and I know what happens to that fucking beagle in that movie. No.
I have never seen the John Wick movies. Not yet.
Oh, they're fun.
Well, let's I have a clip from Jason, so we'll play that in just a moment here. But this one did have a review on Rotten Tomatoes, 71% by the critics, 51% by the audience. So not too bad. Not too bad.
Now, wait, is that for just the segment or is that for the whole movie?
That is for the whole movie. Good point. I didn't think about that. That's a collective rating.
Yeah, that's for everything on there.
So what do you guys give? What do you give Slumber Party Alien Abduction?
I'm gonna go with a 9 out of 10.
Nice.
I very much enjoyed it. I'm only giving it a 9 out of 10 because I think, and maybe Jason would agree. Maybe it's 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. I thought this was really good, and I think that, and I am, because I don't see why not. And it's also, I think there's a lot of this that really works, and I do see it as, like I said, a sister film to the McPherson Tape in a very positive way. I think they were able to nail some of the, what McPherson Tape does for a family outing. I think this does very well for a sibling rivalry. For this kids, I thought all the kids' relationships to each other made a lot of sense, and I thought those kids were very natural. Everybody felt good in it. There were no, and it was just a lot more polished. They had a week of shooting, and they had it and it may not seem like a lot, but compared, how long did it take them to shoot the McPherson Tape?
I think 2 weeks tops. Maybe.
2 weeks. Okay. Either way, with a very limited, it's a different kind of a thing. McPherson Tape versus this, and I think this would almost be like an updated version. And I think that they do. I watched the McPherson Tape, and then I watched this immediately afterwards this afternoon, and it was a great 1-2 punch. It was a great seeing the origin, and then seeing how far it's come. So I'm just gonna say 10 out of 10. I really thoroughly enjoyed it.
Nick, what do you think, bud?
Yeah, I was gonna say 9 out of 10, but I'm gonna go with Andrew. I'm gonna go 10 out of 10, just because. I think telling short stories is hard just in general. I think it's a hard fucking thing to do. And I think that they did this really well. And I genuinely had moments where I was uncomfortably scared. And I thought that was really well done. And alien stuff doesn't usually scare me because what scares me, they don't tend to do. Which I'll talk about in the last one. I'll talk about that.
Okay,
but I thought that was good. Ryan, you have a question down there, buddy.
I saw that from Anthony with another super chat. Thanks, bud. Decapitating you there, Nick. Sorry, bud.
It's all good.
Anthony says, Ryan, Andrew, Nick, I'm getting ready to go down a dark hole. I have a question to pose dealing with a real life circumstance. Is this possible? This is a real life circumstance, yes or no? I don't know if he means Slumber Party specifically. Anthony, if you could, buddy, please elaborate on that. What you mean by that? Do you think that this scenario in this what we're talking about now is real life? Let me know what you mean in the comments, my man, and we'll get back to that. But I'm gonna give this one, I think, as well, a 9 out of 10. And my only problem is killing the dog. That's my only problem. I thought this was the tightest thing I've ever seen. It was slick. It was scary. It hit all the essentials of alien abduction, and I just loved it. And I hated the kids so much that the brutality they went through, I actually really enjoyed. I thought, like, I'm fine with these kids being ripped
Fuck
apart.
those kids.
But that dog,
man.
It breaks my heart. So that's my only criticism of the film, honestly.
But it's bleak. That's what you got to listen. If you're going scorched earth, go scorched earth.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Well, awesome. Anthony, elaborate on that in the chat, buddy. And I'm going to go ahead and play this clip from Jason, if you guys don't mind. Take a little breather and enjoy this clip by the writer and director of Slumber Party Alien Abduction. Jason, man, thank you so much for taking time out of your day today. I know you're a busy dude, but thank you for coming on Somewhere in the Skies to talk to us today.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, and as much as I want to talk about Dark Side of the Ring, the huge craze on Vice right now and in the wrestling world, you're here to talk about UFOs and alien abductions, man. So I hope this is a little a good trip down memory lane for you today.
Definitely. It's been like almost like 10 years, I think, since we made the short film. And it's that short is, there's a lot of me and my childhood within it, not only just like the crazy antics that me and my friends got up to when we were kids, but my fear of aliens growing up. You know, I was a kid that, like, as early as the 5th grade, I picked up a book about aliens and I became obsessed and just started like going down the rabbit hole of reading every book I could about alien abductions and stuff at that time. And there was definitely a big inspiration was that movie Fire in the Sky when it came out. Right. I remember just seeing trailers on TV for it, and I was so terrified just from the trailers alone that it piqued my interest like so much. So even though I was probably too young to watch the movie, just seeing the trailer on TV, like I could, you know, go to the library at school, and even at my elementary school, they had like books about UFOs and stuff. And so I was kind of, you know, without my parents looking, like I was like diving into that stuff and getting way too scared and my imagination running with it. But it all like came together for that short film. As a kid too, I was like in my youth, I experienced a lot of like sleep paralysis moments where I would see like, you know, at night, like sleep paralysis is like you're kind of like stuck between dreaming and being in the, you know, in the real world. And I was having these moments where I'd wake up frozen in my bed and these like dark figures would come into my room and surround my bed. But there was no internet or anything back then. And I talked to my parents about it and they would just take me to the doctors. And, you know, there was no ever like explanation as to like why I was, you know, experiencing these things. And, you know, to me, I almost thought like, oh no, like, am I experiencing like alien abductions of some kind? Or I didn't know how to process it.
How long did it take? What was the process like?
It was like
filming.
Yeah, it was only I think we had 4 days to shoot it.
Wow.
Yeah, and then it was, you know, it all took place at my parents' home, and the dog in it was our family dog at the time. And I was really at the time like also inspired by like ride films. Like I don't know if you ever went to like Universal Studios and went on the Back to the Future ride.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, where it's like it's a movie, but like you're going through this experience that's like a ride. And Stuart Gordon, who was an incredible director who did From Beyond and Reanimator, he made one of these ride films for the movie Aliens for some theme parks. And it's cool because it's like all from the point of view of that, the tank and aliens that Sigourney Weaver and the Marines drive into that colony. And it's like, it's just all POV and taking you through.
And this thing was terrifying. How'd you come up with your creature design? What was that creative process like?
Yeah, it was pretty simple because it just was the version of, of all the sketches I've seen from, people who have said they've experienced encounters with aliens. And, the gray alien has always been like scary to me, even though it's like it's a bipedal figure that's standing on 2 feet, but it's almost human-like. And there was like, I don't know, maybe as a kid, there was just a part of me that was like, there was something scary about the idea that aliens, in my eyes, look like dark figures, just shapes of, they're very human-like, but with the aliens, it's like they're human-like, but if you got a little closer, you see that like, oh, their fingers are longer and like their heads are, a little bigger and like, so it was mostly just being inspired by the classic sort of gray alien. This has been fun. I love the chance to be able to talk about that short because it means a lot to me, and I'm very proud of it. And I love hearing when like people who are also like me and were interested in this stuff like growing up and had fears of it, that when they see the short, they really connect with it because it like it kind of shows the same fears in a way that that they had as well too. And so I every once in a while I'll see someone like write a Twitter post or something about it, and like, man, this was so scary the way they portrayed aliens in it. Like, people just give props to like how he did that, and I think that's cool.
Absolutely, man. You have forever cemented your legacy in found footage film, and I loved it, dude. So I want to thank you for coming on Somewhere in the Skies today. Let's do it again, and we will get deep into Dark Side of the Ring. But get back to work. Can't wait to see what you come up with next.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. So that was the man, Jason Eisner, giving us some of his time. He was literally on set for Dark Side of the Ring, waiting. He gave me his whole lunch break to talk about Slumber Party Alien Abduction. So I do want to send out a special thanks to him. He has a new episode of Dark Side of the Ring that premieres tonight. It's about Luna from the WWF.
Where can you watch it?
Oh, it's about Luna? The one's about Luna?
It's
Vice.
about Luna. Vice TV.
But they put a lot of their episodes on YouTube. I watch it through Hulu.
Hulu?
But I have Hulu Live TV. But I think it's on there. I think it's on Hulu anyway.
Okay. Yeah, it's awesome, Nick. Check it out. Everyone, check it out. Check
out really excellent
Slumber Party Alien Abduction as well.
Yeah,
that was again like he gave me like half an hour, which I was not expecting. He didn't even get to have lunch before going back.
And he had a badass Masters of the Universe
right
his thing. I was like,
I know,
clutch. Frank Langella doing some Skeletor Shakespeare. Clutch.
Oh man, those are. What did you guys think of the new what was it, Beastmaster or whatever, the Kevin Smith thing?
You mean Masters of the Universe Revelation? Fucking badass. It's badass.
Is it good? I haven't seen it yet.
Miles watched all of it with me. We sat one Saturday morning and just like, boom.
Can I throw something at you? The only He-Man content that I have ever seen is Masters of the Universe.
The movie?
Okay.
Yes. I have never watched any of the cartoons, new or old.
I watched the cartoon. Yeah.
I was a real Ghostbusters guy. I think that's also the one that I watched the most from that era. Yeah. And Pee-wee's Playhouse was my other favorite thing around that time. But
I think my favorite.
Really watched it. Never really got into He-Man, and I don't care for the Masters of the Universe movie. Not even really in a fun way. I'm sorry.
Oh, see, I like it in like a total.
And I get that, and there are a lot of movies that I will deal with, and that one definitely holds some nostalgia for me. But last time I watched it, I was like, man, I'm really struggling through this, and it's only 86 minutes.
It's awful, but I fucking Frank Langella like this. Okay, and I digress. We'll get back. Frank Langella. So my wife's a professional stage manager, and heard that he can maybe be kind of difficult to work with. But regardless, he did that movie for his kids, right?
That happens a lot. Yeah.
And he fucking takes every moment of playing that villain just to the extreme, and I fucking love it. Like the minute Shakespeare starts coming out, I'm like, yes.
I also believe it was originally supposed to be Jack Kirby. Matthew Riot's correct. You never saw He-Man cartoons, bro. Yeah, well, come at me, bro. So
is Ryan a cannabis consumer? Matthew, that's a great question. We'll talk about that
around me.
I've had my days. I can say that now. Hey, it's legal here. Come on.
There's also the Jack Kirby. I believe Jack Kirby was supposed to do the art or design for that movie, and then they went over budget because it was a Canon film. First of all, for the Jack, you can still see the Jack Kirby influence, especially when Skeletor goes Super Skeletor or whatever happens at the end, and he gets all gold, and he basically looks like Galactus. But this last thing is the people who made that movie, Canon Films. If people watching this are familiar with Canon Films, if you're not familiar with Canon Films, there's a great documentary called Electric Boogaloo, The Rise and Fall of Canon Film. I might be getting the second part of that wrong, because they made Breakin', and they made Breakin', which was a huge success, and then they tried to do Breakin', and they did Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo. But they also they are the reason that Chuck Norris is a movie star. They are the reason that Jean-Claude Van Damme is a movie star. They are they just made really cheap, shitty movies on the fly and put the money elsewhere, just all this crap. It's a great documentary. Don't watch the one made by the guys who owned Canon Films, because it's not. Just don't do it. You don't want that skew. Watch that one, and then watch The Apple, which is one of my favorite bad movies of all time, which they made.
Was that Canon?
Yes, that's Canon. Yeah, that's
Canon. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to just bring up, Nick, you brought up that good point of actors doing roles for their kids. The only other one I could think of is what's his name? From Street Fighter. He played the main villain in the Street Fighter movie.
Raul Julia.
Yes,
he did that for his kids, and he was literally on his deathbed filming that. I think he died months after.
Again, another example of a dude playing a villain who went all in. He's like,
all in.
I'm going to do it.
Dennis Hopper,
an Oscar
Dennis
for that
Hopper for Super Mario. Let's not say anything we can't take back. Dennis Hopper for Super Mario Brothers, I believe. Was
my God, they went all in, man.
I love mud because it's clean and dirty at the same time. What are we doing? What is the next one?
What is happening?
All I was on Sesame Street. I'm like, I don't want to do anything else as an actor anymore in my life, but be on fucking Sesame Street, because my son loved it. I was like, that's all I want to do.
Exactly, Nick. We got to say goodnight to Anthony.
Anthony, thank you so much for making my week and saying I looked like Shaq Love or Shaq
Thank
G.
you, buddy. Thanks for being here, Anthony. Thanks for the super chats, brother. We never got back to your question. We'll get to it in another chat, Anthony, for sure. Thanks for being here, buddy. Have a great night. Let's see what else we have here. Electric Boogaloo. People are loving it, Andrew. Okay.
It's a real movie title.
It's a real movie title.
Andrew, where can we watch that? Where can we watch it?
It used to be on Netflix. Now I think you'd have to rent it. You can rent it on Google Play or something like that. It's worth it. I'm sure it would be $4 to rent.
I love that.
You know what else you can rent on Google Play? Alien Abduction.
That's what I did.
Yeah, I did. I got Amazon, but
Okay, fair enough, Nick. Same. Written by Robert Lewis, directed.
Smart TV. It's sent me to.
Yeah. Alien Abduction, written by Robert Lewis, directed by Maddie Beckerman. This was another first film.
Really?
This guy
Interesting.
made. So
that's pretty impressive. You know what? That makes this a little bit more impressive.
That changes a lot.
Yeah, exactly. I try to keep that in mind when I hear that. Starring Catherine Sigismund, Gillian Clare, Corey Ide, and Riley Polanski, who was the 11-year-old kid. I wonder if there's any relation to the Polanski family. I don't know. I didn't look that up. I don't think we have to get. I don't think so. I hope not. At least. Synopsis: vacationing family encounter an alien threat in this thriller based on the real-life Brown Mountain Lights phenomenon in North Carolina, which is a very real phenomenon. Mm-hmm. And actually, in our podcast version of this review episode, guys, we have a special researcher who has researched the Brown Mountain Lights. He is featured in Alien Abduction. He's the guy in the beginning when they're kind of going through the history of the Brown Mountain Lights.
So wait, were those real? Was that real footage from real experts in the field at the beginning of the movie?
Yes, that
Okay,
was real footage of he is an actual researcher
Yeah.
who's looked into this stuff. And so was the woman who claimed to have seen the lights and everything. And I believe that physicist was real too. And they were aware that this was a found footage film before they did that, but they saw it as an opportunity to like talk about the Brown Mountain Lights, which I thought was cool. The only reason I bring that up, we didn't talk about this. So in the UPN version of McPherson Tape, the one they made much later on, they interviewed actual UFO researchers and told them it was a documentary about alien abduction and had them, give their thoughts on alien abduction, completely lied to them, put them in this UPN special under their found footage film. So, excuse me, they had no, and Dean didn't know this either. They did this without, because Dean directed the UPN version as well, but they had final say on everything. They put those interviews into the movie without Dean's knowledge. And he went out of his way to go to all those researchers and apologize to them.
I'm glad.
So again,
good on him though.
Yeah, but moving back to this one, I just had to get that in there. What a dick thing to do. Dick Clark Productions. That's what I say to you. Let's move back to Alien Abduction.
That's not going to read well on the podcast.
It's not. It's not. Middle finger is what I'm doing, podcasters.
Yeah, perfect. Nailed it.
You son of a.
Middle finger.
So, what do you guys think? We have another found footage film being shot by a autistic 11-year-old kid, which I thought was interesting. I think it's a good. Nick, I'm seeing you shake your head. I think I know where you're going to go with it.
On this film than any of the other films.
Okay, let's start. Initial thoughts with how this thing started. Let's start from the beginning.
Do you want me to just like go into it?
Do it. Yeah, do it.
I, as a general rule, I'll give you my thing. Did not like this movie. And the autistic kid thing was one of the first. So I literally go, why autism? Dad's a dick. Never go camping. And then I get into the bird thing, like so many fucking birds. So here's my thing.
Well, that is a UFO.
I know.
It is.
But I was just like, that's a lot of birds. I was like, where are all these fucking birds coming from? There's so many birds.
Nick, you haven't seen Dark Skies.
No, I haven't. So clearly,
they're coming from the dark sky.
That's a whole other story. Continue, buddy.
So here's the thing: being around so a little bit of disclaimer within a college professor. One of the things that I do is my class for the last couple of years has been open to students who are on the spectrum or other things. We'll take my class. Like I am accredited. I opened up my class up to as much diversity as possible. So I've dealt with a lot of students in a learning perspective who are on the spectrum from all kinds of different levels of the spectrum, because you guys know it goes in a lot of ways.
Of course.
First of all, I was like, really? Why are you making this choice? Why is this your choice? Why does the kid have to be on the spectrum? And then secondly, I was like, not even a really good job at representing somebody on the spectrum. And I know the spectrum has a lot of hues and colors, but I was like, I just don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't think it was a good representation of people on the spectrum. I think it was a really, sorry to the director, it's your first film. Listen, I thought it was a really unnecessary decision to make. And it bugged me. It bugged me immediately going into the film. I was like, this is a storytelling choice that I don't think serves that community, right? But in representation, I don't think it actually serves the story, because to me, he was just pretty much any other fucking kid, except that he didn't want to put the camera down. But guess what? Kid with the camera, probably not going to put the fucking camera down.
They would have done that anyway.
It just was it was just like a trope. It was like, kid with autism.
Yeah.
And then I just thought the dad was a dick. But that's
so and I'm not defending the director, because I agree with you to a very.
And I'm actually kind of interested by this. I don't think I feel strongly about it either way, but from what I saw, I think it got praise for this.
Well, here's the thing: he did base it on an actual kid he knew. This was his way of dealing with the world and viewing the world was through a camera. So there was some personal touch to it. But Nick, I completely understand. For anyone who doesn't know that, this could come off very insensitive in some ways. So I understand that.
My suggestion would have been in that situation, right? Is to, one, anytime you have more representation in film is a good thing, right? Having a character on the spectrum is a net positive good thing within representation. But if you're going to make that choice, what I would have done would have been, because that idea of viewing the world through a camera, you could have made that choice with an older actor who could handle that better and make more clear choices. And I think
I get that.
Utilize it in a better way than casting a kid. And this is not that the kid did a bad job, right? I'm not trying to like diss on like a 12-year-old's acting job, which is fucking hard to do when you're 35. Like, but you could have made that same choice in a way that I think would have been more effective and brought out that agency if you wanted to give agency to an underrepresented group in film. I did not like how it was handled. I just did not, for me, it did not aid to the film. It hindered the film, and like it just didn't do anything for me in that way.
Well, and the other thing too is they play with it a little. You know, he sees, I think, a mailbox that has like the address 31.
Yeah, the 31.
And he
like
says 31. And like I understand that can be a way that an autistic child expresses theirself through numbers or through repetition. But I thought there was going to be a meaning to that. Like,
yeah, it was
is
just
31 going to play some role in this eventually, or is the kid going to be like, let's go back to 31? That's where we'll find safety.
I think it was
it's
just
never brought up again.
They did it just to do it. And that to me, like, okay, fine. The artistic vision is, well, the camera's how I've used the world. That did not come through to me. And so to me, it is a unlike McPherson tapes, right? And unlike Alien Alien Sleepover, we talk about making clear, purposeful choices in storytelling. That to me was not one of them. It was not clear to me. And if I, as an actor, as a director, as a teacher, like that was like rule one. I'd be like, well, why the fuck are you doing this? Like, what? That's your choice. Like, if I don't understand as an audience, it is ineffective. Then why do it?
Yeah,
sorry. And I'm done.
So. No. Deborah, thank you for joining us from Australia.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thanks, Deborah.
She said sensational chat, guys. We also have Ash Ellis, who's either in Wales, Scotland, or England. Ash, let me know in the comments, buddy. I don't remember exactly where you live, but I know it's late over there. So all of my European listeners and everyone, thank you for being here, guys. I know it's super late. It's getting late on the East Coast. 10 p.m. at least for us old guys. But if you're just joining us, I'm here with Andrew. I'm here with Nick, two of my best buds in New York, TV and film extraordinaires. We are reviewing found footage alien abduction films. If you want to help out the show, the super chat is open. We will answer your questions. We will take your comments, help out somewhere in the skies any way you can. But yeah, let's keep moving on with alien abduction. So I guess
I kind of like this one.
Okay, we have a family. We got a family going on a camping trip. So let's start there. They're on a camping trip. They seem to be getting along really well. They seem like a pretty tight-knit family. You know, and we get some beautiful shots of the North Carolina mountain ranges, which I thought was beautiful. And then kind of our first, I guess, issue is they see these lights. They see the Brown Mountain lights, which I thought was an awesome scene.
Agree to disagree. I think our first kind of issue, which is what Nick brought up, is that the dad's a real dick for no reason.
Rewind.
And a real sexist.
Okay.
He does a lot of sexist shit too. And here's the thing. I believe the intent, and you see this a lot, especially in horror movies, is to have him be somebody who is a dick, but has like some redemptive moments, right? At some point, you often before he would die. Now, this did happen in this movie. However, there was zero breath to it. Like, he just goes from being a dick to just having this moment where he like tells his son to go back, which, by the way, happens with 3 different characters in this movie, where they're just like in a row. A character goes, "I'll stay here, you save yourself." That happens to 3 different characters in a row in this movie.
Man.
And again, when I say I liked it, there are things that I think are weaker things about this movie than the others. There are some things that I think it does well, but I do think that there was more things that I was kind of just like scratching my head at a little.
Yeah,
bit,
I get it.
Fair.
Well, and you know, this,
making movies is hard. If a movie comes out even kind of good, that's a goddamn miracle. So I just want to make that clear.
Yeah,
I'm not here to shit on anything, as it were, because
absolutely, we're not
here
to
work.
Shit on movies.
And I think some of the, while I don't think any of the I think the improv was weaker in this movie. That being said, I think this cast had a kind of reverse at the McPherson Tape stuff, which is when they had to turn to a script. I thought that's when this cast had a chance to shine a little bit more than when they were trying to make up things on their own. Because improv is also very hard.
Exactly.
Especially when you're supposed to fake a familial connection to people.
Yeah, I think in this film we see very trained actors who can use a script to their advantage, where I think improv actors, that's not their strong suit. I totally get that. And I think in this one we saw actors who are used to having a script really dig into their character and try to think of what they would do in that situation. I didn't see so much freedom in terms of improving. We will hear from one of the actors from the film in a little bit about that process. But so what I like about this one is, and I don't mean this in a bad way, it was kind of a paint by number of what you would think an abduction experience, how it would escalate. You start with lights in the sky, and then you get kind of a little closer to the beings, and then you get the full out abduction experience. And I thought our first kind of introduction to the aliens in this one was very effective. So let's kind of jump to, they're driving, they get lost in the mountains, they don't have any phone reception, which again, this movie's in 2014. You need a reason that your cell phones aren't working. That's just the way horror movies work now, unfortunately. And I thought that was a good way to do it.
That shit does not work in the mountains. If you go hiking, your phone sometimes does not work.
And neither does your GPS. So that all was it made perfect sense. They come up on this tunnel in the mountains.
Oh, I have after birds. Is that before the birds? I said birds.
That was surprisingly that was before the birds. I thought the first time I saw this film, I could have sworn it was
after the birds.
Before,
more like for the birds.
For the birds. Right. We'll get to the birds.
I have a good theater geek for that one.
Let's talk about this tunnel scene. This is kind of our first major scare moment, I would say. They come up and it's very like almost I would equate it to like what was that? The Leftovers, or like this idea of everyone just vanishes out of thin air. They show up and all these cars are vacant. All the doors look like they were ripped open. Nobody's in them. The cars are all messed up and pretty troubling.
When that happened, there was a point for this movie that I thought like, and it was probably just cheaper maybe it was cheaper to shoot it this way. Maybe this was the can I Lieutenant Wings? This could have been the intent, all that stuff. When that happened, what I like about to me, some of the best found footage movies is there's something, it feels like you're seeing it sneakily, like something got out that you weren't supposed to see that you've now gotten your hands on. And even Cloverfield does this, where it's just like, at least with that, you're seeing a different perspective of something huge. For this, when that moment happened, I was like, it kind of took the found footage aspect of it away from me for some reason. Because I felt like I was like, well, this story would just kind of be out there. And now that I say this out loud, I'm not even sure if it's if it's fair to put that on the movie. But it was at that point that I was like, I almost wish that it wasn't a found footage movie at that point. I was like, it would be cool if this was just a regular movie. You know what I mean? Like I thought the events in it were interesting enough, but something about trying to make it found footage I thought wasn't very cohesive. And then because of that, I feel like some of the improv got in the way sometimes. And there were just,
That's a great point. Andrew, I love that. I wonder if I would have liked this more if it was just.
And with the kid too. Like I said, I kind of didn't think about that once it was brought up, and so I don't really have an opinion strongly either way. But Nick obviously had strong enough feelings to speak as passionately as he did, so I don't want to dismiss that either. It's just not how I took it in. No, I'm just saying. I like that. Like, people stand up for other people. And I appreciate
Bim Jim does not watch movies.
Don't watch movies. Okay.
All right,
Fair.
fair enough, my man.
Him and my niece. But
well,
yeah, sorry,
that's
just
a good point. No, that's a very good observation, man.
But what the thing is too, I think one of the reasons I didn't notice it is for me, he became kind of a non-character at a certain point. Honestly, he kind of just literally fell into the background for me. Those characters are always the ones that I'm least interested in. Is the people operating the camera, which is why I kind of appreciate that in the Slumber Party one they put it on a dog, because most of the time those characters just kind of cease being characters for me, because I know it's not my point of view. I know I'm seeing it from somebody else, and to me they're just kind of a means to an end. Very rarely I think I can't, like Blair Witch does it because they switch the camera around, I feel like, but you don't often get to know the person behind the camera much, at least not in these examples.
It's like a narrator you don't know. Like even if you, I will say the tunnel scene had for me the scariest moment in this entire movie.
Yeah,
and that was the dad. When the dad's eyes go, I was like, oh shit,
that was scary, man. Like
that
straight up like possession. I don't know.
It's quick, and because again, for like alien abduction stuff, for me, the less I know, right, especially someone who isn't as like engulfed in the research and the culture, the less I know, the scarier it fucking is, because that's what scares me. And so just to see it happen, you're like, I know something's going on, something's got him, get the fuck out, but then you don't know, and then you're left with it. I was like, oh, that moment just got.
Let me ask you this, man. And I agree, it was a very effective first kind of intense moment, but we do see the alien. We did see the alien walk by, and then we do get a very quick up close.
Is that the first quick? Is that the first quick thing of the alien?
That really irked me, because I go back to what you said, like less is more, and we're not even 25 minutes into the film, and we already see what is hunting them, essentially. And I kind of didn't want that. I wanted to keep the mystery going of what is happening. Why are these crows falling from the sky? Why are we, you know what I mean?
I don't disagree with you, but I do think, because for me, I with that moment, I was like, wow, they really like, I thought like with something like this, you really got to fucking go for broke. I feel they went, especially at this point in 2014. Like this is not new. This is not breaking any ground. This is when, if anything, movies like Record have come out. People have like begun to, even just in other countries, elevate. Guys, watch Record, REC.
It's so good.
It's phenomenal.
I have not seen that one yet.
A wonderful writer named Matt Donato.
You haven't seen it?
Ryan,
dude. One of the best endings in film. So good.
Okay. It's really good. Yeah, that movie's great. American audiences might know it as Quarantine because it was remade.
Okay.
But
watch the original.
But my point being, found footage things are not new at this point. So I feel like to help themselves stand aside, they had to make it clear that early on that they were not going to be one of the found footage movies where you don't see anything.
That's a good point.
I do think that was very intentional, and while I do think that this movie, no, I don't want to say not. Like, I think that is successful in what it's trying to get across, which is that, like, this is what it is. Here's your answer.
Leave it.
Yeah, exactly. And then with this one, because I think they're making it pretty. I also think with that, and again, I thought this was McPherson Tape, that when they're showing the aliens and they look like that, like, you know, I'm like, they're letting us, to me, that's like, this is fiction. You know what I mean? This is a very clear indication that this is not a real thing. Apparently it wasn't for people in 1989, but so with that moment, I appreciated that, because then they start pulling from all these other, you got the birds, you got the lights, you got, like, you know, all these other different UFO tropes that they start pulling from all these various stories for one story. And I think it all kind of kicks into gear there, so that you're not really questioning it. They're wearing the alien nature of it on their sleeve. And while I agree, I can see how that could not be successful for some people, it didn't bother me, and I feel like I understand why they had to do that.
And also to that point, I mean, the name of the movie is literally
Alien abduction. Yes,
They're not
yes,
fucking around.
exactly.
It's not like,
Good point.
Yep. Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
it's not like Fourth Kind or McPherson Tape.
Yeah.
I mean, like these aliens sleep
There's
over.
no
Well,
Aliens are like-
McPherson Tape is out there a lot as UFO abduction, I believe.
Oh,
It is
okay.
that it's gone under different
Or
titles
UFO
throughout the
abduction
years,
film
yeah.
or something like
So,
that.
but I'm just like, yeah, when I
You know
said
what
that
you're
was-
getting into.
I ate almonds during one of these videos, and I've been pulling almonds out of my mouth for the entire. So
You're
I
disgusting.
apologize. No, because the thing is, I'm sitting here and I'm like, I see myself like
We're
kind of
going full
chewing.
screen.
I see myself kind of sitting here going like this, like going, like trying to get these almonds out, and I look like a fucking cokehead and like grinding my teeth. And I just wanted to clarify that for people. I am not Eric Clapton. I'm not a cocaine fan.
The chat was concerned too.
The chat was concerned.
well,
Good.
Let's get to another one of the effective practical effects in this film. So Dad's gone. Like
Dad's
they
gone.
just
He's
too
gone
quick.
at
at this
this
point.
point.
The mom,
his
the
redemption
daughter,
arc did not work. I think
it did not work. He's gone at this point. The family's kind of like, all right, moving on. We got to get the hell out of here.
I like that. Like, he is gone. Go.
We'll deal with it later. And,
Yeah,
and
I
again,
appreciate
like,
that. Oh
we
wait!
all-
Oh my God! No! Wait! Cannot move on without addressing this. They're driving in the car in the beginning, right? And I'm sorry, but this this got me real mad. Because they have the "Let Me Smell Your Dick" playing, right? They're playing "Let Me Smell Your Dick." I'm not even sure if that's the exact name of the song, but that's how I'm going to refer it. So they're playing this, and they think it's funny because they're saying this over and over and over again, and we get the joke, and then somehow the mom is dancing along and singing, and then like is singing it to the kids, and then the word "dick" comes up for like the 9th time since we started this scene, and then she has a problem with it. And now the other thing is too, I would maybe have to rewatch it, but I'm not gonna do that for this particular scene, where they maybe not now, just not now. Maybe at some point in the future.
Fair enough.
Everybody go watch Alien Abduction. I rented it, so I don't even feel like I paid some kind of money. This really took a turn. Anyway. That to me felt like a moment, and I would almost want to ask: is it Riley? Is the name of the woman who
Riley is the son, the 11-year-old son.
Who's the young lady who wrote a question or submitted a tape or what have you?
That would be Jillian Clare, who her character name is also Jillian. She's the daughter.
Gotcha. Yes. Okay. So Jillian might know. I feel like there was not a song playing.
They put it in post or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen,
absolutely.
Sometimes it happens, and it can be hard to deal with. Okay, Andrew. Sometimes.
Post production is 90% of the battle, as Nick and I learned.
Yeah, it is. A lot of it.
But I'm so happy we rewound to that, Andrew.
Yeah.
I totally caught that. I'm like,
Sorry,
they
I
said,
just had to.
they
Yeah.
said dick 6 times already. Now you just heard. I don't. Anyways, yeah, we're nitpicking. Let's get to the crows. So the family are getting the hell out of this tunnel because there's something in there. It got the dad, and then all of a sudden, all these crows start falling from the sky. And
Lots
it's
of
a pretty, totally
lots
totes
and
crows.
lots of crows.
And this is kind of been said to have been reported in areas where UFO phenomena happens, that birds just fall out of the sky. It could be something. A lot of people believe it's like an electromagnetic thing. Whatever power these UFOs have is messing with the birds. And hey, we see that all the time. We see birds fly into radio towers or stuff like that. So, but to have that many just raining from the sky, ooh, that was rough. Yeah, what do you got, Nick?
I have so many birds, and then I just put toasters, True West, lots of props. That's all I could think. I was just like, man, you got yourself a shitload of birds.
Toasters. Wow, that's a deep theater.
Yeah, it is.
cut
That's
right
all I
there,
could think.
man.
I was like, man,
I haven't thought of
birds
True
on
West
birds.
in a long time.
There's lots of fucking
birds
toasters
are
in it.
birds are birds. And Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong. There was a scene in Dark Skies with the birds too, right?
Yes, absolutely.
They like
I
fell.
think there were a
dead
couple.
in
I feel like that
clouds.
was something they had happen a couple times in that movie.
Yeah, so that was a pretty scary scene. Just to
Yeah.
see that many birds falling out of the sky. Clearly, the family is super traumatized by that. and now it's just finding somewhere to go, like get the hell out of here.
Yep.
And they end up back at 31, I believe it's 31, where they saw that mailbox. And here's where we get into
banjo music.
We get into what's that movie I'm thinking of?
Deliverance. I have that in my notes.
Deliverance
Deliverance in my notes.
Well, because they make a Deliverance joke. The woman who was upset by the fact that she was singing "Dick" then says, it's like Deliverance except without the anal rape.
Oh,
and which don't get me wrong, that happens in that film, but it felt like an odd joke for someone to make that.
This family has an interesting dynamic. I will give them that.
Very weird sense of humor.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about it. They get to this house, and there's this redneck kind of dude living alone, shotgun in hand, ready to protect his property like you do. And this is kind of where the movie didn't lose me, but I'm like, I know exactly what's about to happen. And I'm sorry. Apologies to the director. Apologies to Jillian. I did not care for this actor. I thought he was something about his voice. Just
which one?
Which one? It wasn't the right dialect.
The redneck guy. He had this nasally thing going on. He seemed like a cartoon. It just didn't work. And I know what the director was going for. It made sense. Someone like that was living up in the mountains and would know how to deal with these lights and what happens, but
it's the whole idea of crafting a character, right? This is to me a storytelling thing, and I again, like, is it the actor, is it the director? I don't know. Like, it's probably, the actors probably did what he was asked to do. Like, that was probably the brief for his character, but like, you're making a caricature, right, instead of a character. So I don't give a fuck about that guy. I also have some note for him. I could have punched it, man. Like, I just, like, you could have made that character dynamic. You could have made it compelling. You could have made him the hero that kind of try to set him up to be, I think, as it goes. But you just don't, it's a cartoon. Like, he's a cartoon character. It didn't work for me.
I don't like it. Yeah. It really took me out of the moment. But look, I think the rest of the actors did everything they could to make it work.
And he was working hard too. I'm not saying he was not trying to do his job.
No, he did his job.
It just didn't work.
It just didn't. It didn't translate for me personally, and kind of the tone of the film.
Yeah.
I think we needed some levity, and maybe that's what he was kind of going for with his character. I don't know, but it didn't land for me. And it was just so cliche. Like, you city folk here, let me tell you how to deal with these aliens and everything. I get it. Like, dude, you throw me in the Brown Mountain as a New York City guy, and I'm going to trust what this guy who lives here says. And I'm going to go by the beat of his drum in dealing with this stuff. I get it. But at the same time, I'm just like, come on. And then really, I think one of the smarter moments in the film was when Jillian, the daughter, is trying to get the ham radio working. I'm like, yes. Don't wait for these things to come and try to kill them. Like, try to make communication outside of the Brown Mountain, which they can't do, unfortunately. So smart choice on her part.
In general, like, there's some, like Andrew said, there's things that like were really smart, right, and really worked. They just feel like weren't there the whole time. Like the GPS thing in the car, like that fucking up. I was like, oh, that's awesome, because it's an older GPS. It's not on a phone, so you know that like once those things go, they're gone, and you're in the mountains, and like those things used to fuck up anyway. So I was like, oh, so good, like such a smart choice. But then it didn't carry on through everything else. Like one thing I had, this is skipping ahead a little bit, is like when they're getting out of the house, like, we'll take the back roads. I'm like, yo, it's the fucking mountains. Everything's a back road. What are back roads or trails? You're gonna take the trail? Like, what have you driven? Like, when you drive in the mountains, like my in-laws had a mountain house in North Carolina for a little bit, and like you'd go up to it, and like it's all like there's one road. There's no like back roads. It's one goddamn road. So what back roads are you taking? And then you end up on the main road anyway. I'm just like, what?
The logic there is, it's not as sound.
We're gonna take the trail with the truck.
All right. Well, We could go beat by beat.
Sorry,
but
I'm
let's
so sorry.
No, man. Like I don't want to keep you. You guys are the fathers.
Yeah, I was about to say I can hear one of my children crying right now, but I think my wife hasn't texted me. So no, I think I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
But you know, yeah.
Let's fast forward a little. We kind of get everyone starts getting kind of picked off
Right
in the home.
I
the
remember the
guy's
mom getting abducted and having her bones broken. I really appreciated that. I did not see it coming.
She killed it, yeah.
And I thought she did a good job too. And I think, especially again, once these characters were under duress, and I feel like sometimes movies can get cast that way too. These actors were good at being in duress and making that feel very real and very grounded. I think that was kind of almost across the board. So, yeah, when she just got all of a sudden yanked up like that, and her bones started. But that was really effective, and
that
even down
was good too.
Oh my god, so good! And to have like basically the point of view of Ryan, almost exactly what you're saying. Towards the end, there was that the effectiveness of like you're watching these people get experimented on these tables, and presumably that's about to happen to the 11-year-old kid that we've been with the whole time.
Oh my god. We have to mention the way this film started. I can't believe we didn't talk about this. This film starts on the UFO.
Right.
Remember? Yeah. The camera is in the UFO. We don't really know what's going on. We presume we're in a ship. People are getting experimented on.
Oh,
and
did we see that ship footage at the beginning of the movie?
Yes.
Yes.
At the beginning of the movie, it starts with the camera in space in this craft, and then the camera falls to Earth. That's how the film started.
I'm sorry. I have a bigger problem with this movie than I realized.
Please do it, because I think it's what I have.
There's look.
I can't believe we didn't mention that.
There's got to be a suspension of disbelief for everything, and because originally I thought it happened at the end of the film, I was like, that's silly, but okay. There is no way in hell that a camera is going to fall from outer space and hit the ground on Earth without cremating.
I have that note.
How the fuck is this thing still recording?
I know.
Again, I will say I'm joking when I say that ruins it, because that is about as like that's just something silly. But that happened at the end, and I was like,
really?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So it ties back. We get the same scene at the end of the movie.
That's fun.
But I did not like that choice. It completely ruined. I mean, it didn't ruin it, but like, come on, man. Like, take us on the journey. We don't need a comic book. You're probably wondering how I got into this situation, sort of feel to it. We didn't need that at the beginning.
Sure.
Like, your film is better than that. That's what I honestly felt. So when it came back at the end, I didn't care for that. And also logically, no, there's no way the camera would have survived that.
Also,
funny story.
Up the lens.
Funny story. That scene was 100% genuinely filmed. He put a high altitude balloon with a camera up into the outer atmosphere.
No shit.
And he did like 4 of these balloons before it finally worked. And before he could find it, like the other ones just disappeared.
Well, that takes the whole load off then, because clearly
but
it works.
For this one, he literally got that camera up into like almost the outer atmosphere.
I feel like such an asshole.
That's fucking great, man.
You know what? 10 out of 10 UFOs for that.
Give him credit. That scene of the camera falling back to Earth was real.
That's amazing.
That's brilliant.
That's so funny.
Apparently it can work to an extent.
Look, I will be the first one to tell myself to eat shit when I do something right. So let me just say, eat shit to myself. Because look, 10 out of 10 UFOs.
So this is my thing. All I think at the end of this movie is, are these humans really worth it? Because these aliens are going to do a lot of work for like, there's like 3 people. I'm like, are they like special peeps?
To the movie's credit, they do say in the beginning, people have been disappearing in the Brown Mountains for a long time. I think they go back all the way to like the Cherokee Indians, like disappeared in mass at one point. Okay, and then all the people in the tunnel are gone. So like this seems like a pretty big abduction, and I think we're kind of just seeing it from this one family's perspective. But I get what you're saying.
No,
I get
listen,
what
the
you're
camera
saying.
thing, all my opinions are trash. That shot's fucking brilliant.
Yes,
It was a
Trash.
great shot. Yeah.
Trash.
yeah. I'm incredibly impressed by that.
Yes, oh
Yeah.
my.
And again, I look like me and Nick both real assholes because I was setting it up and Nick was egging me on.
Oh, I was like,
part
do
of
it.
this. Yep, you're part of this.
Spiked it. Well, okay. So picked off one by one. Unfortunately, they all get brought on the ship. I honestly, okay. Here's where I thought the movie was going, and kind of Dark Skies did this, Andrew, as well. I thought the 11-year-old was going to be part of the abduction, like he was maybe an alien,
like a plant or something,
like a plant, and that's maybe why. No, I'm not.
No, but that
nothing
would've been-
against anyone on the spectrum or anything, but I'm like, maybe that's why, because he's not, he's not your typical 11-year-old kid. He's doing all these close-ups of like insects throughout the film too, which I thought was really
I actually
interesting.
liked that. I thought that,
and
was
I thought
really
that was
good
going to
choice.
lead to something, maybe he's studying things, and
I will
that
say,
he was going to like turn out to be like one of them. But I don't think that's what they.
Yeah, no, I think I will say, Ryan, and this is not to judge how you're taking this one in, but I think if something, especially with found footage movies, and something that this does do that makes it at least a little bit of a successful found footage film, is you can't really expect the kind of, I will call it magic of storytelling to show up. These kind of wonderful coincidences and stuff like that. To gain that true kind of element and something that makes it feel like real found footage, it has to, I feel like, at least for me personally, it has to feel a little chaotic. It can't give you something to like, oh, like look at that 31 because it's going to come back later kind of a stuff. Like there might be some things that rhyme a little bit, George Lucas style, but it's I do think that that stuff was purely to show this boy using the way that he knows to take in the world to do just that.
And that I thought was actually beautifully done.
Yeah.
I really liked that a lot.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, we get to the end of the film. Whole family's been abducted. We get this terrifying.
Picked apart, apparently, maybe.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know. It was.
Again, they're real gnarly in this.
It was effective.
Oh, when he grabs the sister, that was another moment I love. When the alien, like the camera, and then the aliens got her on the face. I was like, oh Jesus.
That's like I think. That's like the thumbnail of the official trailer too. I
think that was nice.
And then I think we get the camera being held by an alien, I presume, kind of throwing it out the garbage chute of the UFO and sending it back to Earth. And now we have this story. But that's not it.
And then it happens again.
Then it happens again. Oh, the human story just keeps repeating itself. But we do, the camera lands, whatever. We think that's the end. Then we see some guy in a hazmat suit finds the camera. Presumably this is Project Blue Book, as we talked about, which was not around in 2014. It stopped in 1969. But that's neither here nor there. I thought that was cool. It's like, all right, there's going to be a cover up of all this. Like they got the footage back. Somehow it leaked out to the public. I think it's a Project Blue Book file, blah, blah, blah. And that's what the movie ended up being, which was pretty cool. But not only that, that's how the movie ends. But then we get a credit scene, like Marvel style.
Yeah, with the dad.
The dad. They found the dad.
Oh,
did you see that, Andrew?
No, I did not.
Oh, you didn't?
Okay, I was going to ask if you guys stayed till.
Oh no, I didn't. I feel so bad. I usually stay through credits, but this was the one that I finished last night, and at the end,
I get it.
And they used a police camera for it too.
Because no matter what, I have to wake up at 7 a.m. these days.
Oh, Jesus.
And I'm sure that's not as early to some people.
Let's get to the last film soon, then. But yeah, we get dash cam footage. They a cop pulls over and finds the dad, and I think they literally say it's the dad.
Yeah,
so clearly the police know what's up and they know what's going on.
Amazing.
So I thought that was cool. It was
that is pretty neat. I'm mad I missed that.
And they utilize the dash cam really well too. Like he does a very good close up on it as they take him away.
Cool.
So yeah. Okay, guys, let's give it a rating. Let's play the video, and then let's dive into our last.
Oh, I'm going to
movie.
stand by
Second
my
pick.
10 out of. I'm going to stand by my 10 out of 10. He dropped a camera from the atmosphere, and look. There was you know what? I had a real. I had a real fun time watching this, and like I think at the end of the day, especially in my advanced age, I'm not that old. But I something that I think is that I try to stand by is if I enjoy something, if I enjoy a piece of work, a piece of art, I don't want to shy away from that. And I can enjoy something and know that it's flawed. And I do think that there are some flaws in this movie. But overall, I enjoyed my experience watching it. So that's where I'm going to leave it at.
Nice. How about you?
I was going to give it a 6 out of 10 because there were things I liked, but I thought it was long. I was like, this movie could have been like 20 minutes.
I would agree with that for almost every movie on this list, even not the Slumber Party one.
Yeah, that one's tight.
The other three, McPherson Tape.
I think that's the biggest fault of found footage films in general. Yeah. We get too much setup and it lasts too long.
I wouldn't even say there were times in the McPherson Tape a couple times where I was just like, I think they went back to the cards like twice, maybe even 3 times. Well, and like for once I get it, but the second time I'm like, all right. So
and sometimes I understand it's runtime. Again, Ryan, I learned it's runtime. You got to hit a runtime for it to be considered a feature. And like if you're not like 50 minutes is like considered a feature for some people, but if you don't hit that limit, then like it's a short film or it's a medium.
You can't put it in festivals. You can't get a worldwide distribution.
And even 50 minutes, they're like,
very good point.
But that shot, man, that's fucking cool as shit. So I'm going.
I give him all the credit.
That shot was.
It's real rad.
It's real rad. It's pretty fucking cool.
I'm going 8 out of 10 on this one. I thought the cast. Come on. All right, fine. 9 out of 10. And that's because we have one of the actresses with us tonight, which is going to be freaking awesome to hear from her. I thought it was a great movie. I really did. I thought they did a good job. Actors did amazing. And it was his first film. So we got to keep that in mind. But guys, go take a little nap if you need to, or coffee refill. And we're going to end with the fourth kind. But we have Jillian Clare, who played Jillian in the movie Alien Abduction. So we're going to hear from her now.
Thanks so much for having me on the show today. I am Jillian Clare. I'm from Alien Abduction, and I play Jillian in the movie. Fun fact, that was not written that way. The character names were changed after we were all cast. My original character's name was Lisa, and I don't think I look like a Lisa. But they did that mostly because it was a found footage movie, which meant that there would be times where we would film 3 scenes as one scene because there wasn't a clear cut. And the director really wanted us to feel super comfortable and really be able to sink into our roles. And so by calling each other our real names, it really felt a lot more real. And it was a lot easier to be able to improv in between the scenes when we kind of had to get from point A to point B without making it strange or making it feel awkward. So that was really cool. Some fun things from set. Let's see. Well, there's that point in the movie where we all go like under the cabin to hide. And I think this was, one of our many overnights, and it was very early in the morning and I was very tired. And when I went to go under, I actually hit the side of it and I ended up with the biggest bruise ever on my thigh, and we all laughed about it for hours. It was pretty good. What's another story? Oh, when the first time we see the aliens, so the director hadn't shown us photos of the aliens or anything about them at all. He kind of wanted it to be a surprise. But see, I don't do well with surprises and scary stuff. I laugh. So it's this beautiful scene where the crows have just hit all of us in the car, and we get out and we see the alien from the distance. And I remember turning around, and it took everything in me not to just burst out laughing. And thank God he called cut like just a few seconds later, because then I burst out in laughter. And I was like, I'm so sorry. This is just how I process things. Look, I'm really sorry. But it was scary seeing it for the first time. And so my brain just automatically went into fight or flight mode, which meant that I was laughing. But it was such a great film to make. You know, it was my first time traveling alone for a job. I was only 19 when we shot the film, and we did go to North Carolina, and there definitely was maybe a sighting of the Brown Mountain Lights. Maybe we think we might have seen them, which is pretty scary and crazy. But there was also some like ghosty stories going on. It was definitely a wild experience. But, you know, I'm just so thankful that we were able to do the film. I've had some really great lifelong connections from it. Peter, who plays my dad in the movie, ended up playing my dad in another film that I produced and starred in called Pretty Broken. And I've stayed in close contact with Riley over the years, who played my little brother, and our awesome sound guy, Dan. He and I still talk nonstop. So it really was a fantastic film to be a part of. I haven't watched it in a very long time. I have a thing about watching myself. Sometimes I'm okay with it and sometimes I'm not. It kind of just depends on the mood. But I haven't watched it in a really long time. So maybe I need to watch it again. I do think that it's one of the more interesting ways to convince an audience that you would keep filming during something so catastrophic. You know, having Riley have autism in the film and filming as the way of processing information. I think that was a really inventive way to do it. And I think it was really cool the way it was done. And, you know, our DP, Luke Geisbuehler, he was incredible. He, you know, has worked on Borat and all these amazing other movies. So the way it was filmed was really cool. And I think that's kind of what separated our found footage film from others, because I feel like it actually provided a good reason for us to keep filming and not just ditch the camera and run. But, you know, I think it was a really great film, and I'm really thankful that I was a part of it. And it was definitely a crazy time. And I had the best time. And aliens, let's see, what do I think about aliens? I mean, I think they're real. Why wouldn't they be real? We're just tiny humans on a big rock in the middle of space. Why can't there be more? And alien abductions, I mean, you know, who knows? Maybe. I don't discount anything anymore. The universe is wide and big, and who knows what the heck's out there and what is going on. So sure, I believe that abductions could exist, but I definitely believe that there are other life forms on other planets. Anyway, thank you so much, Ryan, and happy Halloween, you spooks.
Awesome. So that was Jillian Clare joining us from Alien Abduction. Thank you to Jillian for doing that. Thank you to Dean. Thank you to Jason as well for sending in those videos. And thank you, Nick, for sticking with me, my man. And Andrew, he's back.
Wow,
we are
God
on our
damn.
last
Like I wasn't
film.
even.
We're on our last film, guys. Can you believe
Yeah.
it? We made it. We made
Sure.
it. Thank you to everyone watching, for listening. Let's see here.
You're the real heroes.
I have two things to share before we move on to the last film. I just heard from Bryce Johnson. He's the host of the Bigfoot Collectors Club podcast.
Hey.
He also is starring right now in American Horror Story, playing
nice.
Neil
Nice.
Armstrong. So for those who don't know, American Horror Story is doing like half of their series this year about aliens and alien abduction and stuff like that. And he is starring as Neil Armstrong. So he sends his best. He caught a little of the live stream tonight. So thank you, Bryce. Thanks for shouting this out, man.
Congrats
One more
to the
shout
kid,
out.
too.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Playing Neil Armstrong. I can only wish. We have one more shout out. We have Charlotte Milchard, who played Abby in The Fourth Kind. She played the real version of Abby. Which we'll get to, but she was not able to, unfortunately, send us a voice message, but she did wanted to say thank you for reviewing the film. I can't wait to hear what you guys say. And I told her we're going to be brutally honest, and she's ready for it. So let's do it. Let's move to The Fourth Kind from 2009, written by Terry Robbins, directed by Olatunde Osunsanmi. I hope I said that right.
Okay, yeah.
Perfect.
At least that's what I had found.
Cool. And starring Mila Jovovich, Elias Koteas, our Casey from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Will
Yes.
Patton. Man, what a stacked cast for this.
Yeah,
I wrote good cast.
Hell yeah.
Like,
and we'll talk about that. I don't think the acting was the issue at all with this film.
No,
but
I don't think so either.
Let's do a quick synopsis for everyone out there. Thriller involving an ongoing unsolved mystery in Alaska, Nome, Alaska, to be specific, where one town has seen an extraordinary number of unexplained disappearances during the past 40 years, and there are accusations of a federal cover-up dealing with alien abductions. Now, before we go any further, fourth kind. I just want to go through that really quick. That is the close encounter scale that was created by J. Allen Hynek, the astronomer we talked about from Project Blue Book. You know, you got first kind, lights in the sky. Second, you might see a craft. Third, you might see beings in a craft. Fourth, straight on contact and abduction. So that's what we're getting with the fourth kind. So yeah, initial thoughts, guys. Had you heard of this movie? Did you know any of the backstory? Because there's some controversy.
I remember when it came out. I purposely only looked a little. When I started it, I had not looked for anything. There was a moment in the beginning of the film where I felt the need to pause it and see what was going on here, because I felt like there was something. Not that I was getting hoodwinked, because I know it's a movie, but there's this movie starts with Mila Jovovich coming out, and they're doing this thing where the trees are spinning behind her, and she's basically saying, from what I remember, and I was going to rewatch it, but I have 6-month-year-old twins, so I didn't have time to rewatch. I got to watch it once, and that was a blessing. But she is, as herself, telling us that she is about to play a character, in a dramatization of real events that took place, and that she's playing a real person, and the whole time it's spent. And then she ends with this fucking horseshit about you decide what's real and what's not real.
It reminds me of Jonathan Frakes. Remember Beyond Belief? Fact or fiction? You decide what's real.
So, like, it's almost like letting themselves off the hook, and I was like, oh, what a weird way to... I was like, I guess they're playing the UFO thing. But then they cut to the real footage, which is a woman, the young lady who, the person who...
Charlotte.
Charlotte.
Who plays Abigail.
Yes, it is Charlotte done up to look disheveled. Like, I think anybody who has seen 5 movies in their life could hopefully realize that that was not real footage. However, there are plenty of people who are not able to do that so well, and especially not when you, as a film, break the fourth wall to present yourself and say that you're about to play something that's real, and then have this footage go back to back the whole time. There was a lot about that. And this could be like, and to use a real place. They told a fake story about a real place that is really dealing with disappearances. And instead, they have now taken that and used it to put their own narrative onto, whether that is in a big, like a documentary movie, or a movie like this that is pretending to be a documentary, but also pretending to be a real movie. There are things that I just found, especially, and Ryan, we've talked about this before, and this is not every case, but and I think you would agree with this, there are people out there who, when it comes to UFOs and abduction theory and things like that, who sometimes aren't the most mentally stable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And when they are presented with stuff like this, I feel like there is an opportunity for them to, and I believe this happened, bother the people of Nome, Alaska, who are already dealing with their own grief and pain over what's going on, to try to force this new narrative on there. I was really floored that this movie used that and then doubles down on it at the end with the same stupid swirly trees thing. I honestly, and I'll be 100% honest, I was watching through gritted teeth for most of the movie, and it was kind of hard for me to focus or care about it for the duration because of that opening. I want to call it a lie, like this kind of weird, this lie to the audience. And I'm sure they could try to be like, I like, who knows, maybe those bumpers were added after the fact because they were like, we got to put something out there. But I think what they added, or maybe that was the intent, because not only is she sitting down in foot, and this becomes like a thing throughout, is that this found footage, whatever you want to call it, like, those are the best framed dash cam footage. Is like, that's the best framed dash cam footage I've ever seen in my life.
Pretty damn good, yeah.
Yeah. And like, she's sitting down with the director of the movie, who is also breaking the fourth wall and is now placing himself inside of the story. And trying to. It's. I don't know. I think when it comes to this community who grab onto this stuff, who thought the McPherson tape was real. When it comes to those kind of people, you can't do shit like this.
I get that.
I really think that. Like, I like, and especially we've seen now, if the last year and a half has taught us anything, it's that some people will believe anything if they're told it in a certain way. And I just think the way that they did this was a little irresponsible. And the director has gone on to do a lot of amazing things, and the movie looks beautiful, and there's great acting in it. But the overall thing, and the plot makes not a ton of sense.
We'll get there. Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought that the way that they were serving us this, because they go back and forth, they'll do the real footage right up against the fake footage, and it gets as real as showing dash cam footage of a man murdering his wife and then himself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're trying to portray these shocking moments and act like they're doing, and some of it is more convincing than others. And I think that's a real problem. Like, this was the first time that I've ever seen like a found footage movie where I'm just like, you guys could really do some damage with this. Like, what was the idea?
Well, that's a great point, because it's not a found footage movie, right?
Right.
Like,
Yes.
right. That's the whole point. Because I even was watching, did not do that research, and I was like, oh shit! Like, I had seen it, but I had forgotten I had watched this movie, and I was like, oh, is this real? And then I quickly was like, no, it's not. But that's the problem, right? Because when you present something like this, especially if it targets, I mean, it's mainstream, right? It's targeting mainstream. But
Universal put this movie out. Yeah, like, the thing I remember about this movie is just that it was being released. I would have been in school at that time. I was like in New York, or no, like fresh out of school and in the city and not seeing a lot of movies because I didn't have money. But I remember it was a Mila Jovovich movie. Like, I remember the posters. I remember that kind of stuff. Start Nick, please.
So no, but you bring up a really good point. When you make a movie like this, right? That in some ways is big picture, but is also could be targeted to a very specific group of people that like, and we've seen like there's Ancient Aliens. How many alien shows are there literally in, like, it's like crime dramas. It's like, and so to not like, if you're gonna if you want to make the movie and you want to make it feel realistic, like you want to do that side by side stuff and make it feel realistic, I can make an artistic argument for that, right? That's the story you're telling, but then you make it feel like it is actually real. And like, people can buy into that, especially when you are hoping beyond hope to have proof of this thing to share with people, because everyone, excuse me, it sounds bad, but like, people look at like the crazy alien guy from History Channel. You're like, that guy's a gif. Right. And so
I would argue he's a meme, but yes.
Meme. Fair.
First,
it's true.
It's a valid argument.
But I think you're right, Andrew. Like, it really is like, what's your artistic vision? What was your reasoning for that? Aside from just hoping you make more money, but then what does that do to people?
And then because they're creating their own story, they can pick and choose what little things, like, because then they can give people like, oh, here's this thing that you've read about in another story, so I'm going to validate this further for you. Here's this phenomenon that happens, like, because they're pulling from sources of things that have already, I believe almost everything, right, Ryan, in this feels like something that was from actual cases.
Like,
oh yeah, I mean,
yeah.
when we get to the therapy sessions with these
Mhm.
hypnotic regressions, like a lot of it rang true of and there's actual audio tapes out there of therapy sessions with
Right.
abductees. I would urge any of you to go to YouTube right now and look for Betty and Barney Hill abduction sessions. This was a interracial couple in the 50s who
I've
claimed to
heard
have been
about
abducted
this.
by
Sorry.
aliens. And their audio of their regressions are available, and they
Cool.
are effing terrifying.
They got taken out of their car, right? Weren't they like driving in their
Yeah.
car on like an old road and got taken out?
Missing time. A lot of the tropes we see played out in this is kind of what this couple experienced back, and they were like the first to come forward and say they were abducted by aliens. So a lot of what we know of abduction lore stems from this couple in New Hampshire back in 50s. So, and again, like that's what rung true with me in this film were the therapy sessions and how these people felt and kind of how these memories were brought back. The issue being that Fourth Kind tried to do what Blair Witch did well, is they put out marketing beforehand with like missing posters of people in Nome, Alaska.
And they
wait, literal
Fourth Kind did that?
Fourth Kind came out with articles about missing people.
Oh shit.
And we will get to the controversy that the blowback of what happened with that later. But I don't see again why they had to go the like actual footage route with it. It would have been a good movie.
If I was somebody who, again, like if they would have just cut all that stuff out, like the way this plays out, like if I was somebody who believed in the UFO phenomena, maybe I'm projecting, maybe because I'm not somebody that I'm overestimating how people feel about this, I would feel taken advantage of.
I get that. That is a huge problem in this community. Is they often feel exploited.
Like they're
television, through books, everything.
They're taking these things that they know exist in the community, and they're like just kind of like flicking you in the back of the neck with it. You know what I mean? It's like, here's something for you to. This is what you can attach to. This is like not only are we already telling this thing that you're probably going to be interested anyway. We're saying it's a true story, but we're saying it's not a true story. They're using the same kind of language that I feel gets used by some of the sometimes like not less than safe, like language, like the truth is out there, always trying to find what's real, what's true, all that kind of stuff. Like they're using these buzzwords, they're doing all these things, and telling a lie, like, and not in a fun fucking like Blair Witch did the online stuff, and that is a different kind of a thing.
Yeah,
I believe, like with this, something about how polished and how like big budget it is makes it worse. Something about that makes it feel way more like I'm like, what? It feels like you're trying to coerce a reaction out of me. I don't know. It's
manipulative,
right?
Yes.
So using this in Blair Witch, right? No one fucking knew who was in Blair Witch. No one knew those actors. And this movie starts with a very well-known actor being like, yo, this is real.
Yeah, I'm gonna play this real woman. Like, yeah.
And I'm gonna mimic that actor, like whichever actor is doing whoever character, like they're gonna mimic each other, right? They're gonna mirror each other like an actress would do playing a real person. And it sets it up in such a way that like even like Andrew, you said, like even me, I was like, wait, fuck, is this? Wait, no, it's not. But wait. And like it just scrambled my mind a little bit because both those actresses are fucking talented.
They're great, yeah.
Whereas Blair Witch, I didn't know those kids. I thought it was real because I was a kid, and then I was like, oh, it's not real. Okay, great, cool, that's cool. Oh, she's almost like now. Cool.
This is what I found with this film is they tried so hard to be Blair Witch, like some 20-something years later, and it's like we're smarter than that now. Audiences, like you're being so condescending to the audience you think is going to watch this. No one for a second is going to believe this, but like Andrew said, some people did. I still have people be like, dude, I thought that archive footage was real. And I get it. I understand that.
And then at the end, and like there have been fictional movies that have done this too, but then they even add that sense of validity. It's like, oh, this person
refused to be interviewed for this. Like, oh, this person didn't want anything. Oh, this person didn't want. This person told us this, but didn't want it. It's just more of that shit where I'm just like, well, what are you trying to do here? Like, are you trying to fuck with a community that is already kind of like on edge to a certain degree?
Amen. Thank you. Yeah.
Like those people who sometimes spend their lives trying to find answers, trying to feel validated, trying to feel, I have nothing but respect for a good chunk of the people, as you pointed me out towards some people that I can steer away from. But when you devote your life to something like this, that is not taken seriously 95% of the time, and you kind of do this big budget olive branch and it's bullshit, and you're trying to act like it's offensive to a certain degree. Like, and it's like, I don't know, maybe hindsight is 2020. I would love to hear what the controversy is, because I would like to see how because I know critics did not care for this film. It's not even like it was a successful in like being a motion picture.
Monetarily, it was a huge success.
Yeah, it made like 4 times its money back.
Yeah, but critically,
that's successful.
I mean, I'll spoil it now. 18% on Rotten Tomatoes from the critics, 41% by the audience. This was critically a failure for sure, and for many reasons. But I guess let's kind of let's go through this scattered plot really quick. Abby is a psychologist. She finds these patterns in all of her patients. She comes to realize they might be abducted by aliens. She gets her colleague involved, who's a psychologist as well. He's very hesitant about believing any of it. Then he sits in on some of the sessions and he's like, holy shit, like something weird's going on here. Meanwhile, one of her patients kills his family, kills himself. He can't deal with all this alien abduction stuff. And now
that guy's a really good actor too.
Yes, he was great. All the actors in this, I thought, did an incredible job. But now Abby, the psychologist, is kind of under the microscope of the cops. Like, one of her patients just killed himself. All this weird shit's going on. People are missing, blah, blah, blah. And then we come to find out that, and then we didn't even mention her husband gets murdered in the beginning, in bed, while she's there by an intruder. So the super traumatic thing happens. Abby's son hates her because he thinks that she could have saved him. She's got a blind daughter. Like, the sympathy cards are just like being pulled left and right in this movie. And then fast forward, the cops kind of put the family under surveillance, and boom, a UFO comes over their house and abducts the daughter.
Right.
And then we have this whole side plot with ancient aliens and dead language, Sumerians.
What were they speaking? Oh gosh,
Sumerian. And again, that stuff could have been interesting on its own. I had a hard time focusing after.
It was very scattershot.
And it was just
And then you have
this,
these,
and I don't always
going in and out. It's just.
And they would always and they made sure to shoot it, like all the archival footage was shot really well, but then which is just kind of silly. But then they would make sure that the dramatization was just a little different in the positioning to give that again more of an idea that this is the real one, but we didn't do it exactly the same way. We did it like that. Like, it's just all this stuff that I feel I almost wonder if I wouldn't feel as strongly about this if it was completely made up, like even make up the town where it exists.
Straight up sci-fi movie. Yep.
Yes, because again, from what I saw of the gnome disappearances, there are, of course, at any time something like that happens, people are gonna come in and be like, oh, it's this crazy thing that happened, not real tragedy. And not that the other thing isn't real tragedy either, but you know what I'm saying.
Totally.
The hurt that people are dealing with, sadness that people are dealing with, and these guys took $10 million and whatever the advertising budget was to give a differing answer.
That's what I was going to ask, Andrew, is if it was a different town, or if they didn't put the disclaimer, this was.
I would even be fine with the disclaimer. I feel like I would need it to be about a different subject.
And Okay, so
Fair.
what if it was just a straight sci-fi movie and like they use the same trope though, like where it's like real footage, fake footage, but they never come
Yeah,
out.
I guess it would depend on the sci-fi. Like my first idea, like let's just say they did all this, right? But they're like, it's a town full of werewolves.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh man, this lady's family is getting picked off by werewolves, or people are realizing they're turning into werewolves. This thing that is very obviously and clearly, maybe there might be a few people out there that really strongly believe in werewolves and they're dangerous because of it, but I doubt that. I could be wrong. But with this, I feel like with the UFO community, there is just more of a chance for something to happen, for something to go wrong. I think there's a little bit too much of a volatility there, and not necessarily not because the people that follow it are all like messed up or anything like that. It's just this idea that when you want something so badly and you are given supposed proof, like there's more of a chance that you're going to want to grab onto that. And again, it is something that most of the time is very far out of reach. So I just think, well,
I want to get you guys' opinion on this. The one cool kind of unique thing I thought they played with a little bit was this owl thing. This is
I don't remember there being an owl in it at all.
There's owls all over the place.
That's so funny.
It's beautiful.
That shows where my head was at. And
there's that one shot of
so where it's turning all around, where the eyes are like, the
head the whole time, the camera's following it. So when I first saw that
I watched that movie yesterday.
When I first saw that scene, that was the one scene where I'm like, thank you. That's like a very deep cut in UFO lore. I mean, look. I've got right here. I've got 2 books written just about UFOs and owls. It's a real thing. It's a phenomenon where owls are seen to either be around before an abduction or a UFO event or after. And a lot of people believe that owls are kind of like a harbinger of these things. Or, I mean, you look at the owl, look at the shape of the head, look at the eyes. It's very reminiscent of a gray alien. So a lot of people think this is what they use to like get to somewhere and then abduct you. Like they're showing you themselves in another form, a screen memory, they call it. And this is what people have claimed, and that's what they did in this movie. All of her patients claimed they saw owls before these things happened. So I thought that was a really cool part of the movie.
Well, so is that more of like a deep cut, you would say, for
absolutely?
UFO? Yeah,
it's not that well known. I mean, you go back to Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks dealt with that.
Sure, but that's kind of my point. You know what I mean? That's like, think about how excited you just got by the fact that they brought up this thing that doesn't get brought up too often, right?
Yeah.
And let's say you were a less stable human being that like is taking that as a sign that they're like, oh, like this is in the shit. Like this is not your like rudimentary, oh, the grays come down and they're getting at the real stuff that people don't talk about. So this has to be true.
So can I push back a little bit? I'm going to push back a little bit on that. So I agree, but here's the thing. I'm fine as an audience member, right, who's not deeply entrenched in it. If you make this movie and you remove the Mila Jovovich thing at the beginning, and to me, it's like I'm going into straight fiction. Someone made a horror movie and utilized found footage as part of it. I'm fine with that story as a main consumer. If you're not trying to make me believe that it's true, right?
Yeah.
Because I do think that like it's shot really fucking well. Like you said,
so much so that I feel like those bumpers had to have been added afterwards because they look terrible.
If the bumpers weren't there, and I was like, I'm going into a horror movie, and they're not saying it's real, change the town. Change the town. I get that. That's a good point. Like make it a fake town in Alaska.
It's a real town that has real problems
and
with
that's
disappearance.
But like remove those 2 things. Remove the bumpers. Change. Don't make it known. Make it someplace else in fucking remote Alaska and give it a different name.
Right.
I'm cool because that makes it kind of freaky. Like some of the images, like the guy floating and like the found footage image, like the way that the director did that, I was like, ooh, fuck. Like
it was good. It was executed well, but it wasn't necessary.
As someone who's not in it, I'm like, oh, the owl thing's fucking cool. Like that's a cool shot because then you're introducing me to some of this stuff And if I'm gonna go learn about it, I'd be like, oh, what's up with owls and aliens? Like,
Totally.
There are things that I liked about this film. I just think it was irresponsible, like what you were saying, to say it was real, to say it was like a real, but like a wink real. But if you aren't getting the wink, like if you aren't catching the wink at the end, then like you're just like, oh shit, this is real.
No,
Exactly.
again, they double down at the end of
Right,
the
and
movie.
that's
I was floored by that.
I
I was
know.
floored
I
by
want to
that.
give a quick shout out, guys, to Unidentified Celebrity Review. Luis Jimenez is here, and UFOT has been with us all night. She's awesome. She's got her own YouTube channel. Go check it out, UFOT. And she did mention earlier The Messengers, which is the book I showed you guys by Mike Clellan and Richard Dolan. Like, she knows. She's in this community. She knows how much owls mean to us.
Nice.
And yeah. But I get both of what you guys are saying. With
No,
that.
and I get that too, because it must feel fucking nice to feel seen. The first time that I ever felt like I fit in my life was when I saw Weird Al in concert when I was like a 27-year-old man. When I saw Weird Al for the first time, and I saw other people that looked like me, like my wife and I. She got me ticket, and we were just looking around. I was like, we were like, that person, like those people look like. I've never really felt that before in my life. I never had any clicks. I didn't really go through any phases. I was just kind of like I just felt like I fit in, and it's a fucking rad feeling. And it is a good feel. Like, I understand being
when comic book movies blew up. That was for me. Like, to be like, oh shit, like this is fucking cool now. Like,
right?
Yeah.
Oh, cool, great. It's different than the Weird Al experience, but it's the same thing. Like, you all of a sudden, like, here's a community, and now people like get that community and think it's cool or want to know more about it.
We in the UFO community are living that right now. Since the Pentagon came out and said UFOs are real. We investigated them. We're going to now invest. They're opening a permanent office to investigate UFOs.
That's awesome. That's right.
That is happening. So, I mean, talk about validity. That's what we needed. What we don't need is shit like this to muddy the waters and exploit it to an extent that the Fourth Kind did. I don't like alien abduction, McPherson tape. Like, we know, we get it. With this movie, they tried to manipulate us so much and force it down our throats that this is real. This is real.
Manipulate everybody.
It was the least real of all of these because of A, the budget, and B, they tried so damn hard to convince us that footage was real. When, God, it's so frustrating.
I do want to say the filming of it is fucking gorgeous.
No, there's again. I don't think anybody here is saying that anybody involved with this film is not talented. I said I was going to use this term earlier. I find it ill-advised what they decided to do.
I find it unethical, if that makes sense. Artistically unethical.
Yeah, I get it, man. Well,
but
I guess let's kind of get to the end. So her blind daughter is abducted. We see some dash cam footage again, which was okay, but here's my problem. We see in the dash cam footage, the police are watching the house, and a UFO goes over the house, and then it goes staticky. And then all we hear is the cop being like, oh my God, she's being lifted out of the house.
Ryan, is that a thing like staticky cameras? Is that like a thing too?
Oh, totally. Yeah, okay. It's the same
right.
in the paranormal community. Like these phenomena have a way of messing with cameras. They drain batteries very easily, blah, blah, blah. Here's my problem. Like, I don't know if it was a budgetary thing, but the camera goes static and we don't see the girl getting lifted out of the house. I'm like, come on. That was like your one moment to show us something truly cool.
But that would make it seem less real. That would make it seem less real.
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I was like, what a cop-out. Like, that's when you're going to make the camera go static. Come on. I don't know, but then we get that too, where the guy's literally floating out of his bed. It starts going staticky too. So maybe the more intense the phenomena, the more it messes with the cameras.
That moment creeped me out. Sorry.
That was messed up. Anytime we see like their mouth agape and they kind of look like they're possessed, it was frightening. And then, don't get me started on the like ancient Sumerian voice or whatever the hell that thing was. That was very unnerving. I don't know. What did you guys think of this part where we hear this weird kind of what would you say? Disconnected voice. Yeah. Start saying all this really crazy stuff that they finally decipher.
I was actually kind of interested in that because I feel like that's usually more of like a demon possession trope.
Right.
But isn't there like people think that like aliens and demons can be the same thing? Like that there's that connection too.
That's big too. There's a big movement in the alien abduction lore and everything of spiritual people believing that aliens could be demonic or angelic. Like take your pick, whatever lens you want to look at the alien phenomena through. That's the problem. It's so amorphous and so unexplained that like you could look at it from any lens. Again, I go back to like Jacques Vallée, who said like yesterday's fairies are today's aliens. It's possible they could be the same thing. Or it could be an angel, it could be a demon, it could be interdimensional, it could be us from the future. That's the stuff that like keeps me going in this field, is asking those questions. Because I don't personally think they're aliens. I don't. I never have, really. And I don't think they are now. But this movie seems to be going with that, I guess. I don't know. There's some talk of God and ancient alien stuff, but I don't know. That's my tangent.
Matthew, Ryan and I actually reviewed both Arrival and the Arrival last year in an episode.
That was fun. Prometheus we haven't hit.
Prometheus we haven't hit.
The three of us got to do that. That would be a fun franchise to hit up. And we're getting an Alien TV series, I saw too.
Pretty psyched about that. I know Noah Hawley.
I love those movies.
I like Noah Hawley quite a bit. That guy knows how to make a good TV show. So
yeah, absolutely, man. Oh, I'm excited for that. Again, like this topic of aliens, it's been around forever and it's ripe for television. Yeah. But I think this is an example, the fourth kind, of where it swung for the fences, and it was too messy. Like they didn't really have like a message to say, I think. Like a
plot kind of like, I mean, there was stuff that happened, but it all just felt like a loose semblance of events. And again, I it's hard for me to say anything about it because I really was so turned off by the first 5-10 minutes that I don't think there was any way that I was going to enjoy myself. So I don't want to I don't think that's super fair to. There's a lot of people that worked really hard on this movie, including the people that like the director and Mila Jovovich and is it Jovovich? She pronounced it that way at the beginning of the movie, right? I don't think I ever heard it. Yeah, I was like, I don't think I've ever heard it pronounced that way. But if anybody's gonna know how to fucking say it, it's the person themselves.
I hope it's her.
Yeah. Like, you know, everybody clearly worked hard on this, so I don't it's hard for me to discuss it either way, and I hope that doesn't feel like a cop-out, but I just I stand by the stuff that I said earlier, and the rest of the movie just kind of went by me in waves. Even saying things that I disliked about it just don't seem fair, because I don't think I was gonna like it. Yeah And that's not fair to the people who worked on it.
Exactly. And you know, I mean, let's just go to the end to try to figure out where daughter is or whatever. They put Abby, the psychologist, under hypnotic regression which was weird. I'm like, are these memories, or are you trying to literally make contact consciously? I don't know.
I didn't understand what was going on there either.
But then she's like getting abducted herself, and I guess the guys in the room did too. I don't know for sure. And then she comes back, and she's back with the director of the fourth kind, telling her story. Like, this is all real. Yeah, like, my daughter's still missing. Like, I don't care if people think I'm crazy. This is my truth. Blah blah blah. And then, like you said, we get Mila Jovovich coming back on, and again saying,
and the director, and they say that same. It's up to you to decide what's real and not real thing. And I just
okay. And here's the only real thing in the entire movie. During the credits, they're playing audio tapes of people reporting UFOs to.
Okay. Were those all real?
UFO Reporting Center. Those are real audio tapes of people reporting UFOs, and some of them are pretty startling.
Are they all from Nome, Alaska?
No.
Then it doesn't matter. If anything, that makes it worse. Because if I were to watch the film, I would assume that those are calls that are coming from Nome, Alaska.
Good point. That's
insane.
It doesn't help the case.
I really thought those were fake, and I clicked away anyway because I had stuff to do. But if those are real, I would almost feel for those people who had to deal with that, who were dragged in this thing to serve this other narrative.
Totally, man.
Like that's fucked.
So frustrating.
That's so crazy.
Well, all right, We're going on 3.5 hours. This has been a freaking epic marathon. But let's talk about the controversy before we wrap.
Yes, please tell me what happened.
Okay. So here's what
I wanted to more discover in real time. I only did loose research.
Yeah, fair enough.
I figured you'd help me out.
Oh, I've got you covered. Well, before the controversy, I do want to say the first time I watched this movie, all the way through, was like on the, I don't know, 4th or 5th date I had with my girlfriend. We watched the movie. We were spooked. It was nighttime. Whatever. There's some disturbing stuff in the movie. I fell asleep, and I'm a very deep sleeper. Like, I could probably sleep through like a nuclear attack. I swear. And apparently, she told me in this deep sleep, I started whimpering, and I started like almost the way she described it, like I was almost like talking backwards. And this is after watching the movie. And she's like woke me up terrified because she's like, you've never done that before. I've never had a history of sleepwalking, sleep talking, nothing like that. And apparently after watching The Fourth Kind, I had the first ever experience of this. It was probably a nightmare I was having, but I thought that was pretty interesting to add in.
You decide what's real or
you
not.
decide, fellow viewers. Ooh, Kimbo says The Fourth Kind is outstanding. There are a lot of fans of this movie, and I understand.
Again,
it's a beautiful movie.
It's like I said earlier. If I do not, if I enjoy something, I don't deny myself of that, and I would not want anyone else to deny themselves of that.
Absolutely. First time I watched it, I loved it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds great. Who doesn't love
Controversy.
sitting down and enjoying a movie?
Exactly. Apparently that one guy in the chat who's never seen a movie. But moving on. Here's the controversy. Universal heavily pushed the based on true events approach when it came to the viral marketing campaign for The Fourth Kind. Studio had fake news articles written up about the events depicted in the film, using them alongside real articles from Alaskan publications about the string of disappearances related to the town. Universal attributed its fake articles to real publications like the Anchorage Chronicle, the Nome Nugget, and the Fairbanks Daily News. In 2009,
that's more on Universal too. I don't put that on the filmmakers.
That's a good point.
Unless they were directly involved, but I hope not.
I know, I hope not. In 2009, the Anchorage Daily News reported that the Alaskan Press Club hired Anchorage attorney John McKay to sue Universal for the false news report and for using real missing person cases to promote the movie. No Nugget publisher Nancy McGuire said, I really was concerned about it because I didn't write these things. They think that they can get away with this because we're Alaska. They don't think of us as having any brains or being upset about what they do. The company settled the matter and issued a statement at the time saying Universal agrees to permanently disabling the removal of the articles and represents and warrants that it has already permanently disabled access to and removed everything from the internet. Yeah, because you can permanently remove things
totally
from
internet
the
can be
internet.
scrubbed.
In 2009, there's probably a little bit better chance.
Maybe. The Alaskan Press Club received $20,000 alongside a $2,500 donation to its Kiilstofte Scholarship Fund in Alaska. So they clearly were doing damage control. But are you kidding me? The fact that they got sued for what they did.
Well, what about all the
make
people
up
with
a
missing persons?
fictional town?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, I feel bad for if you have a missing persons. That family, Andrew's saying this. If they used someone who's actually missing someone that is a loved one.
Yeah. Oh, Nick's getting abducted. Uh-oh. We lost him.
No. Oh boy.
Nick,
there
there you
he
are.
is.
There you
he
are. You
is.
paused, man. We thought you got abducted.
You decide.
You just Oh my god, I love it. Oh man, we are running out of steam. But yeah, what do you guys think? What do you think about that? That whole
I was just saying, like, if you're
it adds to everything else. It only
you imagine if that was someone you love missing and they use that, like,
right, exactly. Yeah, that's cold. It's cold, man.
It is, but then I look at things like all these serial killer movies and stuff, and I'm like, based on real events, and I'm like, okay, like, it's been done in other ways, but with this, I think they were so aggressive in their marketing that it just came off super cold and like
let me
super
push back on that.
manipulative.
When you do like a serial killer thing or a reenactment, right? Then like, yes, there's people who will make that argument. Like you listening to this stuff is bad. However, it is also an opportunity because where like a victim can be remembered, right? So like if you are like pointing out the horrificness of Ted Bundy, just like how fucking horrific that human being was, and you honor the victims of him, like in some ways you can maybe say like we're trying to like show the horrificness because people are interested in that shit, but like you're taking someone who is missing and it's unsolved to this fake thing, and like how hard is that on the person who is like dealing with that or still trying to find that loved one?
True. That's such a good point, Nick. Playing devil's advocate, I can't believe I'm doing this. What if they were abducted by aliens?
Well, no,
it's
I
think possibility out of a million possibilities.
I think that I agree with that, and I understand giving people hope for that. I think the problem is that they are purposely creating here a false narrative where they have literally invented people to be stand-ins. It's not like they're even examining one case. They are making up their own case, so then they can load in all the evidence that they need and put in all the owls and have all the things that are gonna hit those little buzzers for people that really follow this stuff. And then all of a sudden, this becomes this narrative for this situation. And I'm sure, like, look, if they fucking took like a disappearance story and it had a whole bunch of circumstantial evidence or regular evidence that pointed to this, and that's what they used as their case, that's fine. But they didn't. They built one from the ground up and then made reenactments of the thing that they faked. I think the problem here is that everything about this is not true. Everything about the movie that we saw is not true, but they attach it to a town where something really happened, and they use a phenomena that people really care about.
Yeah. And they got sued. Like that really says it all right there.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Final verdicts on the fourth kind. What are you going to give?
Whatever the lowest number is. Can we do 0? Can I do 0?
You can do 0.
I'm going to do 0. I'm going to do 0 out of 10. I really didn't enjoy it. I really didn't enjoy it. Actually, you know what? I'm going to mark myself as present for this. That's how I'm going to handle
Fair
this.
Fair enough.
I'll give it like a 3 because I did think that like the craftsmanship of the film, like
cinematography
and Florence was really good, and so
my beef is with none of those things.
What's that?
I said my beef is with none of those things.
And so I'm giving it credit because I want to give the artist that made a really technically sound thing credit.
Elias Koteas is fine. Thank you very much.
Dude, Casey Jones was in this movie. Come on.
Elias Koteas is great. Will Patton's fucking great. Mila Jovovich is fucking great. Like everybody in this movie is
they killed it.
Really
that
talented.
Owl,
they did their job. So I mean, I'm going to give for people doing their job. You can't be like
exactly.
But
awesome.
Which is why I am here. I am here for this vote.
You're present.
I'm present.
Fair enough, guys. All right. Wow. This turned into a epic conversation. I did not know we were going to go this long. Thank you to both of you for sticking around this long. Thank you to everyone who watched, who listened. Some closing questions for you guys. What was your favorite film out of the 4 we watched? Andrew, go.
That's a tough one. I really, you know what? When I came into it, I would have said McPherson Tape, but I really like the Slumber Party one.
Cool.
I'm gonna say those two together. I felt like I was watching one movie. I really did, because I'm not joking when I say McPherson Tape ended and I started. Thank you, UFOT. And McPherson Tape ended and I started Slumber Party. So that little combo, that was my favorite movie of the things we watched.
Little main course and dessert.
Exactly.
Nick, what was your favorite?
I'm gonna go to UFO Slumber Party. I love McPherson. I love the tapes. Just UFO Slumber Party just felt like it knew exactly what it wanted to be, and I dug that.
Yeah, and it had a lot of history to build off of, which I think is cool too.
Sure.
A lot of these can be traced back
including the McPherson Tape.
Totally. McPherson Tape. And then that was inspired by actual events as well. So it's a good lineage for sure. Let's see. LTT Wing says, what is number 1 tonight? I'm going to go with, it is tight again between Slumber Party and McPherson Tape. I'm going to say McPherson Tape. Maybe I'm
Fair.
biased, obviously. But again, it was the first of its kind. It was experimental.
Yeah.
Sure.
It was highly effective and authentic. So for me, it was definitely, I'm going to say McPherson Tape. But Slumber Party is like my new go-to. I'm going to be
It's
watching
so
that thing
good.
every Halloween. I can't wait to see what Jason does next.
Should watch the rest of VHS too.
Ooh, I'm gonna.
Well,
and
do
Wreck.
it. Yeah,
I gotta
I'd
watch
be
Wreck
interested.
too. Let's see. What is both of your favorite alien-themed movie in general? Not in the found footage. Like, do you have one?
I do.
Yeah.
I fucking love Arrival. My wife did
Yep.
not hang out for that one for me. I thought that one like hit me in the like crazy linguistic because I teach communications too. Like I just thought that was a great film. I really loved it. The use of
Good
time.
choice.
Alien, the alien Boca Face. Boca Face.
Where
Alien
can you
Boca?
find McPherson Tape?
It's on Shudder right now, and
It's on
AMC
Shudder.
Plus. Yeah,
Amazon Prime. Oh,
yeah.
Dean wanted me to mention if you get the Blu-ray, there's a director
yeah,
commentary and a
Oh,
special featurette like making
Nice.
of
Oh man,
thing.
buy that Blu-ray, Al. I might get that Blu-ray. That sounds like
Go
a buy.
get it.
That sounds like a
Just-
steal.
Yeah, Google
Yeah.
McPherson Tape.
Yeah.
It should show up for sure.
Yeah, if you go to
have both
Amazon-
Disney Prime too.
Amazon Prime, it'll take you to Shudder where you can watch. That's what I did.
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Arrival. Great choice, Nick. How about you, Andrew?
I love Arrival too, but for the sake of like mixing things up a little bit, and I love like Joy and my wife and I both, we love that movie. That's I got to see that and then see Amy Adams do a talk back afterwards. I think that
awesome.
It was awesome.
Wow.
It's that I think that movie is really something special. I'm hyped for Dune. But I'll say Slither.
Oh, good
Ooh.
choice.
Wow. Good choice. Yeah, that's a good one.
Mhm.
Ooh.
Nathan Fillion, James Gunn action.
Love Slither. Love Slither.
Love it. Well, Arrival. I'm gonna go with The Arrival, starring Charlie Sheen. No, I'm just kidding. I gotta go.
Charlie Sheen and Ron Silva.
Can't forget Rod Silva. I'm gonna go with my boy Steven Spielberg. Close Encounters
There you go.
of the Third Kind is
I've never seen
classic.
that movie.
Oh,
Oh,
dude.
I saw it for the first time last year. It's kind of funny that you say that. Yeah, that one had escaped me for some reason.
Funny little trivia. There's one of the scientists at the end of that movie. When the aliens like land and the scientists like go up to the ship. One of those scientists was J. Allen Hynek, who created the Close Encounter scale and worked for Project Blue Book.
That's pretty
They
rad.
actually got him. Like that movie was inspired by his Close Encounters
That's
scale.
cool.
So they put him in the movie. Little trivia
Nice.
for you guys, but I'm gonna
Rad.
go with Close Encounters. A lot of people are saying Arrival as well. That was a great one. And okay, let's see. One more question, guys. I promise before you can get back to your beautiful families. What is
I'm
your
going to
number
bed.
one?
Everyone's asleep.
Me
I have,
too.
I have to eat something. I have to eat
More
something
like
and then I have
bed.
to go to bed.
Yeah. What is your number one horror movie
Lost
that you
Boys.
want our audience to check
Lost
out
Boys.
this Halloween season?
Watch Lost Boys. Watch
Ryan,
Lost
you do
Boys.
yours because I have to think. Because
Lost Boys.
Me.
Lost
Everybody
Boys.
watch.
I wonder which
here's
one
the
you
thing.
can
Watch the Lost Boys. However, the movie that I had originally pitched to Ryan for us to talk about this year is a little film called Society. I'm trying to get more people to watch this movie. It was made by Brian Usna, who was a producer on Reanimator, and I believe he directed the second Reanimator. And Reanimator is another one of my favorite movies. Society is one of the more interesting, and I think a little bit ahead of its time movies that I've seen in a long time. So watch Society. That movie's rad. But Lost Boys is my favorite horror movie of all time, and I think it's I'm almost crushed that they're going to remake it because but we'll see what happens. Look, who knows? It could be good, but I think there's something so incredibly special about that movie that I think would be hard to recapture. But I could be wrong. I would love for it to be good. I love the kids at the cast, the people behind. I'm super happy that it's a writer of color who's doing the script. There's a lot of cool things around it, so hopefully it's good. I hope it's good. I do hope it's good. But watch the original.
Fingers crossed. You want to see some sexy muscle trumpet or saxophone players?
Yeah. His name is Timmy Capello, and he used to play saxophone for Tina Turner.
Okay, he looks like Shawn Michaels.
I think he's on Thunderdome. I think he's on a Thunderdome song.
Reminds me so much of Shawn Michaels. There's your deep
He's got like the
WWF
hip,
guy.
he's got like the gyration going in that
Oh,
scene.
he's got it going, man. He's Kenny G style. Nick,
That movie's so good.
Where
your
have
favorite
you
horror
seen
movie, man?
Kenny G thrusting his pelvis out?
Town
Do you-
Hall, biatch. Town Hall, New York City. That dude, Kenny G, came up to me and Ihan, my bar manager. For those who don't know, I'm a bartender. I work at a concert venue. And
I have
Kenny
the music
G-
producer.
Yep. And Kenny G came right up to me and
Young
my
Pals
boss,
music.
and he serenaded us, and it was beautiful.
That's pretty
That's
awesome.
fucking cool because that dude is talented as fuck.
Sure.
Yes, no matter what people say. I'm switching headphones. At
Na
the
na
end
na
because
na
my-
na
my
na. Oh, they
iPhones-
ran out of power.
That's how long
Yeah.
I've been going.
All right, Nick, what's your favorite horror movie?
Okay,
Daddy's gotta
Favorite
go to
horror
bed.
movie.
Okay, so this is gonna be so I have to justify this a little bit. Stand by Me.
And of course, I didn't hear it because I was plugging in my headphones. What'd you say?
Stand by Me.
Ooh, good choice.
It's my favorite movie of all time.
Nice.
The idea of going and finding a body.
Andrew looks a little
That's
miffed
fine.
by that choice.
No,
What do you guys say?
I
about
mean,
that?
I'm just interested that it's being classified as a horror movie. I'm actually kind of that's interesting to me. Yeah.
How do you classify horror? That's so. I went back. And
I mean,
forth.
yes, I would agree with that, but I would say like that would feel so firmly coming of age to me.
It's both, but that's how I felt about it too. When I watched it, I'm like, horror movie, coming of age movie, just with a fucking monster clown.
Yeah, that's fair.
But that's also why I liked it. You're right. Stand By Me is very much coming of age, and it's why it's my favorite movie. I've watched it before I should have been able to watch it, up into an adult, and it has resonated with me. I've read the novella, but the idea of it, and maybe I'm peppered because I'm a big Stephen King fan and I've read his like synopsis of the story, but like the horror for me is like you are going to find a dead body, and it's a dead kid.
That's fair. Yeah, that would be a huge fear. I get it. I totally get that.
In confronting death for the first time, and all these things that, like, to me, can be horrific. Or I don't know. Andrew's not on board with my.
I'm not, buddy. I'm sorry. I look. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But yeah, it's still a great movie.
There was a
I'm with
movie
you on
with
that.
Barbara,
It's a phenomenal movie.
Barbara Hershey where she was possessed. Anyone know that one? I don't.
Oh shit. I can't remember off the top of my head. That's gonna drive me nuts. It's gonna drive me nuts.
Not horror.
I'm tired.
Listen, if you can justify it, I justified it. There's my reasoning. I gave you a why. I gave you a why. You don't have to agree with my why.
You know what? I'm gonna go with a movie that we did on Shocktober. It Follows.
Oh, that's good.
That movie stuck with me. This kind of unseen force, kind of, that is never ending and keeps going no matter what. Slowly, doesn't matter. It's in all these other movies we see like the killer getting to the people and killing them, but with this one, it's like it could take them years to finally find you to try to kill you. So you're gonna live your whole freaking life paranoid about it unless you transmit this thing to somebody else. So I thought that was super inventive. I thought it was very scary. It really affected me. So I'm gonna have to go with It Follows as a more current horror movie to watch.
There you go.
And kind of I'm copping out. I'm gonna go also with The Birds. I love The Birds.
That's such a good one.
That's a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are my two. All right, guys. Last question of the night for you before we go. God, go to bed. Where can we find everything you guys are up to and all that?
If you find like on Twitter at Sanford -Sun, you can listen to episodes with these guys that we did of Shocktober. If you're interested, a lot of them are still up under Half White Son of a Black Man. You're awesome. And just keep your eyes peeled. I'm also like you can read a lot of my stuff at pajiba.com, pajiba.com. I usually cover late night talk shows for them, but every now and then I'll drop some other pieces. Like I wrote about watching Child's Play as a father for the first time and how it really messed me up.
Even though theater stuff in New York.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure what Random Access Theater is up to right now, so I don't want to speak for them. But if you go to their Facebook page, it's this thing called the Drunk Texts, where they do staged readings of either classical works or current works made classical. I have adapted Ghostbusters for them, called it the Merry Busters of Ghosts. Halloween, which I think I just called All Hallows Eve, and then I did the New Hope, which I think it was A Hope Renewed. But yeah, I just take those movies, and mash them down to 30 pages of iambic pentameter, and then we get drunk and do staged readings of them, and we drink with the audience, and we play drinking games, and they're a whole lot of fun. They were doing it on Zoom. They've done a couple live performances, but I think they're all just like everybody's trying to recollect and figure out what that's going to be.
It's good stuff
here in New York. Thanks, buddy. So yeah, that stuff's out there. And I'm around at Sanford -Sun on Twitter.
Perfect. Thanks, buddy. Nick, what do you got for us, my man?
So I'm more active on Instagram and Facebook than on Twitter. I'm real bad at Twitter, guys. I'm at and Westemeyer on Instagram, and then Facebook's just my name. So yeah, that's where you can find me, and then doing stuff and things. Lots
All
of
the
bacon.
time.
Yeah.
And if go to his Instagram if you are hungry, my God, this dude is like a master baker. Master baker is what I said. Master baker.
Ryan, before we do close out things here, I would like to air a grievance.
Please.
Stand by the horror film?
I was told 2 years ago.
Me.
No. This is I was told 2 years ago now that the plan was we were going to watch and discuss It Chapter 2, and I was going to talk about how.
Did we not do that?
No, we did not. And I wanted to talk about how much I would even say I prefer it to the first one.
My wife does too, and she doesn't even like it.
It's a better adaptation. It's a better adaptation of the material.
Okay.
I'd be happy to expound on that. You just let me know when and where.
We'll do that.
I just bought it on Blu-ray the other day. I'm so excited because it's not streaming anywhere right now, so I needed to have it for Shocktober, and I owned the first one already.
It's not on HBO Max. I thought
no, they took it off. They took it off right beforehand. I think that happens a lot of times. Look, every October it rolls around and they do the smart thing, which
pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. They pull shit to get people to pay for it. Certain things like Dr. Sleep. I had to get Dr. Sleep too, the director's cut.
Movie, Andrew, I again love Stephen King, but like you raved of it, and I went and watched it and was like, that Mike Flanagan's a fucking genius. If you guys haven't watched Midnight Mass,
I love Midnight Mass. I loved Midnight Mass.
I want to talk about that shit, man.
Stephen Greer said, "Am I late?" Yeah, buddy.
Steven.
Wrapping up. Watch the archive, my man. You got 4 hours ahead of you. So.
Yeah.
All our European people are waking up.
Yeah. That being said. Ryan, thank you so much for having us on.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan.
It was really great to do this little Shocktober reunion.
Absolutely. I'm gonna let you guys.
Thank you to everybody who watched. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm gonna remove you guys here and just do a little closing. But thank you to both of you for
love you, buddy. Have a good night.
4.5 hours.
Night, guys.
Good night. Have a great night, guys. Wow. That was incredible, guys. This was so much fun. These are two of my best friends here in New York. And as you can tell, we have a lot of fun stuff to talk about when it comes to movies. I want to thank all of you guys, UFOT, Alien, Bocaface, Chemo, Steven. Who else did we have? Elias, LTT Wings. We had Anthony earlier, Matthew Riot, of course, Luis Jimenez, all you guys, Vincent, Christopher. Thank you. If I didn't mention your name, I do apologize. I'm trying to scroll up here. Morkavi Studios, thank you so much for sticking with us. This was so much fun. Go check out all the movies we talked about. And yeah, if you're just tuning in now, go watch the archive. And if you want to help out Summer in the Skies, Super Chat is there for good. I think it turns into like an applause button or something. If you want to help out the show, you can do that. Or you can join our Patreon campaign for Somewhere in the Skies, where you give a monthly contribution and you get bonus episodes, one-on-ones with me. You can pick my guests and topics for the show, and a bunch of cool stuff over on Patreon as well if you want to help out Somewhere in the Skies. So go to patreon.com/somewhereskies. But other than that, happy Halloween season, guys. I hope this is fun for you as much as it was for us to watch all these movies tonight. Again, my special thanks to Jillian, to Jason, and to Dean, who sent in those videos for us. And, of course, to our co-hosts, Nick and Andrew. And other than that, we're at Somewhere Skies on Twitter, at Somewhere Skies on Instagram. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel that you are watching this on right now and everything in between. stay tuned for a very special witch episode that we're going to be doing. And as usual, the show is every Monday. That's all I got, guys. Have a wonderful night. Have a great Halloween, safe Halloween season, and I will see you here soon. And remember, keep your feet on the ground, but never stop searching somewhere in the skies. Have a great night. Take care.